I was reached out to speak, I think one of the very salient selling point for me was the fact that it was an opportunity to engage young people, and I have a personal passion for just helping and as much as possible guiding young. I'm young myself. I like to think I am. Yeah. So yeah, it was. I think it was a good opportunity to actually just engage, and I've been asked to speak around three big things, right? We like big things. So professional career, personal growth, continuous learning. But before I start, I think it's important that yes, my profile has been, read. Just an abridged version. I'll just give a broad, overview, just so that you would know that perhaps, in terms of context, I actually um, maybe I'm qualified to speak on this topic. Like you've seen, over 12 years experience covered broadly in three sectors: financial services, management, consulting. Now, the bit that was missing is that now I'm in development finance. So as we speak, I head strategy and policy for for one of the development bank in Nigeria, a development financial institution, and I'm an associate vice president as well. I've had, yeah, for out of the 12 years, done 6 years in financial services. I've worked with Union Bank, First Bank, GT Bank, and then obviously one of the consulting institutions, which is KPMG. I did that for another 4 years. And then I became a manager in First Bank and I headed a unit called Segment and Value Propositions. Did that for maybe 18 months thereabout. And then I'm now in one of the development financial institutions in Nigeria as head of strategy and an associate vice president. So I'm not, I'm a young person, like I like to say. I'm married, yes, 6 years, and I have a kid. But I think it's important that we actually speak about these things also from a place of experience. And the thing with young people is, I'm not here. I won't tell you theories and stuff. I would tell you my story. I will speak in certain principles, but I would tell you my story and how it fits in. And the reason why I gave you my profile is so that when I'm telling you the story, you understand how I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not doing badly, to be honest. But it's important that we understand how that process, how I went through the process, especially speaking to the principles I'll be sharing with you. That is important. While you can talk about professional career, personal growth, and continuous learning as different concepts, and you can have a whole day to speak about what are the things I need to know when to grow my career, what are the things that I need to build my personal brand, or how can I continue to learn, or what are the key things to continue to learn. While we can spend days to talk about these individual items or concepts, the way I want to do it is to say that these three things are linked together. I want to show you the synergy between the three. And interestingly, the beginning and starting point is the last point, which is continuous learning. So you need to first learn and then continue to learn. And naturally, when you learn, that translates into personal growth. So, like every child, like every one of us, we started to learn the basics: ABC, one, two, three, right? And then we started learning complicated stuff, right? As we continue to learn, we, in our personal ability and capacity, expanded. Our ability to take on more responsibility expanded. Our knowledge, our skills, our competency levels expanded. And based on that personal growth by virtue of continuous learning, it translates by without even doing much, it translates into how professionally you grow in your career. They say you don't give what you don't have, and it's extremely true, right? So if at the place of work you are growing in your place of work, for example, in your business, or if you're an entrepreneur, whatever you're doing, it's a sign of the kind of knowledge that you have, which speaks to your personal capacity, which also have come from your learnings. So you understand how these three things, come together. That you learn and you continue to learn, and then that translates into personal growth. And naturally, as you grow in capacity and in bandwidth, it translates into how you grow in your career. And I'll give you an example again from my story, how all of these things fit together, because, but the beginning point, like I said, is on the learning point. So the question is, what are the key things, what are the key three principles that I want, I want you to take away from today in terms of what you should pay attention to as a young person? So there are three principles I'll speak about. And, there are many other things to talk about, right? But for me, I think these are the three critical things that shaped and changed my own life and my career and my journey, which I think would help because it is a universal principle. It doesn't matter whether you're in Nigeria or whether you are anywhere in the world. If you apply these things to yourself, it would work. The sad part I see with youth today is that there's a lot of noise, and it's just unfortunate because we're living in an environment where there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of distraction, and you find youth going all over different places. Young people spending their time, social media, as good as it is actually one of the time wasters we have. And I sometimes I'm aloof. I don't know what happens because you spend a lot of your time there and you realize at the end of the day how much value is it adding to you. So there's a lot of noise, and I empathize with us because in our time or this time, there's a lot you have to grapple and battle with, which means that you must be more deliberate. In order to make your life a meaning, you must be deliberate. You must pay attention to certain things that are important. And these are the things I want to talk to you about. Number one is that young people must understand the concept of value. You will not get a seat at the table because you are young. You will get a seat at the table because you have value. If you take nothing from today's session, take this. You will not get a seat at the table because you are young. You only get a seat at the table because you have value. And what we're fighting for, when they talk about not too young to run or, young people must take their place. Listen, we're not fighting for young people to take their place. That's not what we're fighting for. We're fighting for people of value to take their place regardless of their age. That's what we're fighting for. That people should take their place, people of value, that's the key word, should take their place regardless of their age, which means if perhaps I am 20 or 30 and I have value, then I should take my place. But I could be 40 or I could be 20 or 30 and I have no value. I don't deserve a seat at the table. So the problem is that young people feel so entitled. There's this entitlement mentality that we feel, oh, the world owes us this. Oh, our parents owe us. Listen, the only thing your parents owe you is your education up to, let's be generous, university level. After that, nobody owes you anything. You have to earn everything you have. And that's one thing that we must understand as young people. Until we understand the place of value, the fact that we must bring something to the table. It's only when we bring something to the table, that's when we can ask for our voice to be heard, right? But when you understand that concept, then you then go back to say, how can I bring value? Because that's a big question. How can I bring value? And I will speak about these by dimensioning our timeline, our life's timeline across 4 phases. Number 1 phase in our timeline is what I call the 0 to 20 years. Look, your 0 to 20 years is your involuntary phase. Right? This is your phase where it's an act of God in the way I put it. It doesn't, you don't have control over it. It's involuntary, which means where you were born, some of us were born in Nigeria. Some people were lucky to born, fortunate to born abroad. Some people had the best of education because of where they were born. Some people had to struggle. Their parents had to struggle to send them to school. Some people had to hustle at a young age. Now, it is involuntary. Right, so some people can seemingly benefit from the fortune in terms of where they were born, the family they came up from, the schools they went to, 0 to 20. But the good news, and this is how in my where I think God is faithful. The good news is it doesn't matter what happens in your 0 to 20 years. It never shapes your life. You know what shapes your life? The next 20 years. Because God is faithful enough to ensure that it is the decision you make for yourself that will shape the rest of your life. Let's talk about the next phase of life, which is 20 to 40 years. Listen, this 20 to 40 years, to every young person listening to me, is your critical stage of your life. This is a time where your investment in your life matters. This is a time where you need to focus on investing. Right? And I will dimension that 2 years into sub-timelines, but let's stick to that. That this is your investment phase. This is what shapes and controls the rest of your life. Whatever you do or you don't do in this 20 to 40, that's that age range, which we all fall in, so you can calculate your age. And the closer you are to 40, the closer you are to the end of your investment. And that's the truth, right? When you get to 40, which is the third phase, 40 to 60 is consolidation. You're not trying new things. You're not taking risk, right? Because you have a lot to lose. You are consolidating on the investment you've made. So you can imagine if you haven't made the right investment in your 20 to 40 years, You can imagine if you have not, invested in yourself and created value for yourself in 20 to 40 years, you can imagine what you'll be consolidating on. And it's unfortunate when I see a lot of elderly people at 40 to 60 struggling, and you go and check why they're struggling. It's simply because they've wasted their 20 to 40. And then above 60, which is the fourth phase, is where you reap and harvest. That's where you retire. That's where all you have done, all you work for, will typically culminate into your result or your benefit, so to speak. So the 20 to 40, which is the young phase, is extremely key. But let me dimension that phase into two sub-timelines. Your 20 to 30, you must be committed to skill development or skill acquisition. This is the point where you're asking yourself, what do I know? What skills do I have? What technical competence do I have? Remember, the only way to create value is for you to have something. It's for you to be knowledgeable. It's for you to have skills. It's for you to be competent. Nobody gives you anything except you deserve it. And you only deserve it because you have value and because you have skills. So we must understand that 20 to 30 years, your commitment has to be about what skill can I get? What certification do I need? What competence can I build? This is not the time to talk about money. That's to be honest. And this is extremely key. And I'll tell you, I'll give you my personal example and my personal story. So it won't be like I'm just, saying these things because they're nice to hear. No, it's about your skill. Then between your 30 to 40 is when you begin to apply skill to create value. Right? So it's now saying into your 30 to 40, because at this time, you're already getting some good positions, you're already getting some opportunities, you're already getting some platforms. It's a question of how do I apply what I know, what I can do to create value. And value is really about how can I ensure that I am solving problems, right? I am making a difference where I am. Like in my place of work, when they talk about people who stand out, I have to be number one. Young people must be committed to being number one, to standing out. People will only remember you because of the value you create, not because of your title, not because of your name, not because your name is nice to be spoken of. It's about the value you create. I have been working for 12 years. I've seen it work. If you don't create value, you're not on the seat of the table. Listen, my MD said to me, I am the only one, I'm in my early to mid 30s, but I am the only one in my organization, in the development financial institution, that sits at ESCO level, management level. And my MD had to say one day, every of my colleagues, senior colleagues, they're maybe at the minimum average, they're 15 years my senior. I'm the only one in my organization that sits at that management seat. And my MD said that as a young person, if you wash your hand, and we've heard this proverbs before, if you wash your hand very well, you can eat with elders. I'm not sitting at that table because Jeremy he has a nice face or he has a nice glasses. No, it's because there's value, and value comes from competence. Competence comes from skill. If you don't know what to do, if you don't have skills, if you're not solving a problem, if you're not good at what you do, there's a problem. People are looking for quick shortcuts. There's no shortcut. We must pay the price. And unfortunately, young people that come around me, they know me. I'm very honest with them. I won't give you money because it's because you have value. And you must earn every dime that you get. You must be committed to that, because a time will come where all you'll be doing is consolidation. My admonition to us is that we understand, we walk away from entitlement mentality to a value-driven mentality. It's extremely key for your career. And you must ask yourself, how can I add value to where I am? If in your job, in your business, in your career, in your education, whatever you're doing today, you don't stand out, you're not number one or number three, there's a problem. There's extremely a problem. And it has to come from how committed you are to apply yourself to your business or to your job or to your career. That's extremely key. Having said that, the next key principle, because I have to tell my story, is what I call delayed gratification. Young people must understand what delayed gratification is. A lot of us today pick instant gratification above delayed gratification. Delayed gratification requires that you pick skill over money if you have to make a decision. Delayed gratification requires that you pick knowledge over power or influence or title. Delayed gratification requires that you pick responsibility, right, over influence. So as young people, your commitment has to be, how can I get the knowledge that I require, the skill that I require, the knowledge that I require above money, above power, above influence, above, because right now it's about, we know young people, you just want to pepper them, the pepper them gang. That's really what drives us. We have to taper down on it. A time will come where you don't even have to do much. You will be peppering them by your life naturally. But that's because of the investment you've made in your life. For those of us that are in school, what does delayed gratification mean? Now, listen, I went to Covenant University. We're one of the first sets in Covenant University. There's no Nigerian school that is as strict as Covenant, right? No school, no phone, no. In fact, there was one thing they call one silly rule. Talk about no peering, which means a boy and a girl cannot work together. That's the kind of institution we actually schooled in. But you see, instant gratification is, come on, I'm a young person. Why would somebody be calling me? What's that? It's my life, right? And a lot of people who went that direction, we know the difference today. But some of us who understood what delayed gratification means is that, look, it's only 4 years of my life. Even if they tell me, don't do this, what's the difference? What can it make in my life? I'm here for a purpose. When I get my certificate, when I come out, if you want to sleep on the road, it's your problem. If you want to spend all night drinking and smoking, it's your problem. If you want to party all night, it's your problem. But just 4 years, for you to dedicate it to get the degree, the certificate, the learnings, the skills that you want, it's what people couldn't trade, couldn't delay the gratification for. And today we can see what it is. And even whatever school you are in, listen, I'm not somebody who thinks that degree defines, your worth. But guess what? It doesn't matter what I think. The employers out there, one of the ways, because the demand is so much, the supply of graduates is so much, people have to look for ways to bring it down, to narrow the search. One of the ways they use is your degree. So already when you are coming out with 2-2, third class, it doesn't mean that you are any good. That's not what it means. But it's just unfortunate because what happens is that you've limited your opportunities already. Even without going, you've limited your opportunities. Listen, I went to KPMG. I studied there. I said, like I said, I did 4 years in KPMG. If you didn't have a 2-1, you can't even be in KPMG. So already, if you're coming out with a 2-2, the opportunity to work in a firm like KPMG does not exist anymore. And it's not because you are not smart, but because perhaps if you have paid a little bit more attention, or maybe you have enjoyed what we call delayed gratification, that's an opportunity. You've given yourself a shot at life. You cannot carry your own hand to begin to stifle your own destiny or your opportunities. Don't do that as a young person. Don't do that. And for you to be able to not stifle your opportunities, you have to understand what delayed gratification is. You may not get the accolades now. You may not get the attention now. It doesn't matter. This is not the time for the attention, for the accolade. It doesn't matter. This is the time for you to invest in yourself. Build your competence, build your capacity. I cannot see this enough. It is only the value you bring to the table that will guarantee you a seat at the table, not because your age is 20 or 30 or 40. That's not the difference. That's not what we are fighting for. Nobody will fight for that. We are asking that if people are of value, let them come and sit at the table, regardless of their age. So we must understand the second principle, which is delayed gratification. And the final principle, which is my favorite, is what I call emotional intelligence. This is one thing that every youth must understand. I understood emotional intelligence. Afolabi was a colleague of mine in First Bank, so he can attest to some of the things I'm saying. You must understand the power of emotional intelligence. Now, the way I like to describe emotional intelligence, but let me give you a scenario. Have you ever gone to a bank to withdraw money? And so for those of us that use check, or for those of us that use a passbook, you go to the bank and then you write, let's say your account balance, you have 5,000, and then you write 7,000. And then you present 7,000 naira check or 7,000 naira withdrawal slip for an account that has 5,000. Anyway, if any of you have done it, you won't be here because you'll be in prison, right? The point is that you cannot withdraw what you do not have. Emotional intelligence simply means that every one of us listening to me today, we have an emotional bank account with every other person else. You have an emotional bank account with your boss. You have an emotional bank account with your colleagues. You have an emotional bank account with those people who are junior to you, with anybody you encounter. Emotional intelligence demands that you credit your emotional bank account such that when you withdraw, your credit, your emotional bank balance is always in credit. That is what saves you when you need people to stand for you, by you, defend you, is the emotional credit that you have with them. That's what. And I've seen it work seamlessly. I have gone through Union Bank, GT Bank, KPMG, and First Bank, and I've gone to 5 institutions in 12 years. This is one consistent thing that has worked for me. My bosses, my colleagues, everybody. When it comes to defending Jeremy, when it matters most, they defend. Why? Not because Jeremy is nice, but because he has an emotional credit with them that most people don't have. It's the same way. Think about your own friends. Why would somebody do something to you and you react a certain way, negatively, and somebody else does the same thing to you and you give excuse for the person? You know the difference? The difference is because the other person that you give excuse for has an emotional credit with you that the other person doesn't have. Young people try to withdraw from an emotional bank account that they did not deposit, especially in your place of work. How are you crediting your emotional account with your boss? Are you going over and beyond? Right? Are you going beyond the call of duty? Are you investing? Are you trying to bring value to the table? You must understand the concept of emotional intelligence. Many of you are running with an emotional bank account that is negative, and you expect people to defend you. You expect people to come to fight for you. Look, listen, when decisions are made, you will not be there. You want people who will speak for you in the table when decisions are made. Why would they think of you and not Salvation, and not Femi, and not Afolabi, and not Toyin? Why would they think of you? It's because you have an emotional credit with them that somebody else don't have. And how do you stand out? Is the value you bring. Is the dedication that you have to your job. Is the commitment that you have. Is the sacrifice that you make. Is how you know, a lot of us, we talk about mentorship. Oh, I want somebody that I can go to. But you see, the problem is that the reason why mentors run away from you is because when you come around, it's about what you can get, not what you can give. When young people come around me, by the time I sense that it's all about what you can collect, I will quickly malign you quickly. Because when I'm with people around me, people of influence, when I'm with them, it's always, what can I give to them? How can I invest in them? Because when time comes for decisions to be made, those people will think about how much value you bring to the table. There's no hard and fast rule. These are simple principles that work. I have seen it work in my life. I've seen it work in my career. I've seen it work everywhere. And that's why I'm telling you with every passion, with everything in me. If you want to succeed, you must understand value. You must understand delayed gratification. And then you must understand emotional intelligence. Now, let me tell you my story very quickly in five minutes plus, and I'll round off. When I started my career in 6 years, I read computer science in school. Finished in 2007. And I got into Union Bank. I was one of the first young people. Then Union Bank, we all know Union Bank, old bank and all of that. They were trying to sort of rebrand. And so I was one of those young people that, we're about the new graduate. That's like the first time the new MD, then the bank had issues, governance issues. So the CBN gave the bank a new MD, actually 3 banks. Union Bank was one of them. Funke Osibodu. And all these things are up there. Go and verify the information. So Funke Osibodu became the new MD. And I was one of those new graduates that came into the bank. I was barely, I think, 20 or thereabout, and I was young. I was actually the youngest in everybody. So one of the things, again, value, standing out. I was the class governor of their training school. So I already stood out clearly. But when we now had a meeting, with she wanted to see the young people because she wanted to use them as agent of change. And by the time we were speaking, and I don't want to go too much into the details, but the point is that I had an opportunity to speak. But when I finished talking, my role, just 2 months on the job, changed from IT to special duties assistant to the MD. I was barely 20. And there was a role that was created in the office of the MD as special duties assistant. What does a 20-year-old to the MD? And I was the one managing the entire management trainee, there was already us standing out. And it was myself and some other guy, 2 of us, were in that role. And then before you knew it, after 1 year doing that work, I was like, no, I need to build competence. I need to build skill, value, right? I need to build my skill. What do I know? I was asking myself, what do I know? Like, what can I say I can do for myself? How can I stand out? What value? And I'm like, no, it's too early for me to be in such the spotlight. Again, understanding delayed gratification. It was too early because I was in the back. Everybody knew I had that guy working in the MD's office, young person, MD's office. So everybody was a bit, every young person will ravel in it. But I was like, no, this is because I did, I was frank with myself. I looked at myself in my mirror. I was like, what do I really know? I'm just starting my career. Yes, I can speak. I'm probably articulate. That's the best as I can do. But I need skills. That's what will speak for me. And I requested, leaving the MD's office, to go and do core banking because I wanted to know skills is what will define you. Now, to cut a long story short, I moved into marketing. That's how I moved I read computer science. So, and that's my technology career ended just 2 months after I started. And I moved into mainstream banking, right? And after marketing, I now moved into GTB, okay? When I moved into Guaranteed Trust Bank, again, time and chance. See, if you're committed to certain things, time and chance, the Bible says, happened to them all. So you will get your opportunities, but you must be prepared to take it. Now, guess what? KPMG had partnered with GT Bank at this time in 2011. And again, go and verify those information. And at the time, GTB in 2015 became the most profitable bank in Nigeria. Do you know when that journey started? It started in 2011, and we're part of that journey. So GT Bank wanted to create a strategy, 5-year strategy, to be the most profitable bank in Nigeria and then in Africa in 5 years' time. So at 2011, the target was 2016, but it happened in 2015 when they broke the 100 billion naira profitability mark. When they were going to create the strategy, they invited KPMG to come. KPMG now said, for us to do this, we want you to give us some of your staff to work with us. So KPMG then GT Bank says, we're going to work with the people who are fresh. We don't want old cargos who are not thinking. So we're fortunate that those of us that came in to GT Bank at the time were shortlisted. We were over 100. We wrote the test. To cut the long story short, I was one of the 26 candidates that GTB offered to work with KPMG. We started working together. Now, for 3 months, I was a GTB staff working with KPMG along with my 25 other colleagues. Now, you can find that again value when you understand value. While a lot of my colleagues were more like, KPMG cannot be telling me what to do, or it's 5 o'clock, I need to close, or I'm having issues, there was actually a rancor between KPMG staff and the GT big staff because we felt we were too big. We felt they were paying us a lot of money. We felt, and that's how, but I and one of my colleagues, 2 of us, it was a case of, we were not part of the effort. At some point, they felt that we were the black sheep. We were supporting KPMG because why will I pick a fight? I want to learn. I want to know. So we were committed in ensuring that we knew what we wanted to do. We don't join them in their protest. When it's time for meetings, we will stay. When everybody is close to go, we will wait behind. One of our KPMG person, they were watching us. When we finished the project, I was the only person that KPMG. Now, I understood value because I brought value. But you see, I didn't understand the second point, which is delayed gratification. KPMG opted to hire me after the job. And I asked, how much would they pay me? And I looked at it. The money. I was earning about, if I was not mistaken, about 200K then. And KPMG's salary at the time they wanted to poach me was about 120K. I didn't understand delayed gratification. So I said, no. How can I take a pay cut just to move to KPMG? So I ignored KPMG. So I stayed back in the bank because I was making money and I was okay. I didn't understand delayed gratification. Look at what happened. 1 year after, I had done 5 years in banking. I was at the second level called the ABO level, Assistant Banking Officer, second level. And I will help you. There are 14 levels in a bank, right? And I will explain those levels to you so that you understand the story and you can put it in context. 5 years later, I was just at the second level. I met a colleague of mine 1 year after that incident, who I've also done 5 years because we finished school together. I will never forget him. We call him Optics. He said to me, Jeremy, how far? After all the police entries, he said, that one of these banks, and I'll call the name in the all full disclosure, UBA, had given him assistant manager position after 5 years of experience. And he didn't want it. He said it was too small. He wanted deputy manager. In my mind, I said, God punish you. Deputy manager. Do you know what it means? Let me explain it to you. ET, ABO, BO, SBO, AM, the 5th level, DM, the 6th level, manager, senior manager, principal manager, AGM, DGM, GM, executive director, MD, 14 levels. This man was given the 5th level after 5 years. In a bank, if you are the best, let's say you are the best of the best, you'll be promoted every 2 years. And now it's impossible. Afolabi can tell you. Those of us in banking, they can tell you. 2 years. So let's assume best case scenario, 2 years. This guy would have taken you 10 years to get to the level he was given. 10 years. He wanted the 6th level, which means it would have taken you 12 years if you're in the bank, to grow in the bank, to be a deputy manager. This man was asking for deputy manager for in 5 years, Jesus of Nazareth. I had done 5 years and I thought I was doing well and I was on the 2nd level because I've promoted every 2 years. This guy, the same 5 years, was asking for what would take me another 6 to 8 years to get to. I had to ask myself, I said, wait. What kind of skill, what kind of competence, what kind of capacity would give this guy such audacity to demand such role? Then he told me, I realized he was in consulting. And then I realized, oh my God, I had the opportunity 1 year ago and I blew it because of money. And as God will have it, because I understood value, I kept in touch with my KPMG people. Immediately after that incident, I reached out to the lady and I said to her, I said, please, I want to come to KPMG. I want to go and do consulting. She said, are you ready? I said, I'm ready. I was fortunate that I was given an experienced role. Guess what, people? When I was moving to KPMG, I had 3 other offers. This is how life tests you. Delayed gratification. This is how life tests you. I was given 3 other offers. I had a job. And these things are there. I can share with you the information. I was given an offer as a BO in FCMB. If FCMB wanted so bad to recruit me that they changed my offer 3 times. So I had an offer as a BO in FCMB. I had an offer in Heritage Bank as a BO, and then I had KPMG. Of these 3, FCMB and Heritage Bank were going to give me 150K more money above what I was earning. KPMG was going to make me cut my salary, what I was earning, by 100,000. 100,000. And to crown the story up, that was the year I was getting married. And my wife was already, the lady I was going to marry was already used to me having some small change. I was going to get married, make a decision like that, to get 100,000 naira pay cut. But I already knew that I have done this. God, I might not get a second chance. I already understood what delayed gratification was. So I told my wife, I said, listen, I will be 100,000 less than the money we have now. We will struggle. But I said to her, I said, give me 3 years. I will catch up. That's what I said to her. Because what was important to me at the time was it has to be skill. This thing that this guy had, he could save him 6 years of his life, 8 years of his life for this. That's what I'm looking for. So it took me 4 years instead of 3. It took me 4 years. At the 4th year, remember, this was 2014. 4 years after was 2018. I was an ABO in 2014, an ABO. After 4 years, I became a manager in KPMG. I left KPMG as a manager to a manager in First Bank. Now, let me help you appreciate it. It took me 4 years to be a manager in First Bank. Remember, from ABO is BO, is SBO, is AM, is DM. It would have taken me 4 times 2, 8 years. 4 times 3, 12 years. To move from where I was to be a manager in the bank, if I stayed in the bank, waiting to just collect the money. But in 4 years, I saved myself 8 years of toil, 8 years of hustle, because I understood delayed gratification. It is now that I am an associate vice president, because from there on, when I became a manager in the bank, everybody, Folabi knew was my colleague, because who is this young guy? You're like, manager, hey, in First Bank, how? This is the secret, delayed gratification. Because it was important, skill. Everything I am now, I am the head of strategy of the Development Financial Institution. What I know today, what gave me that role was because I was committed to skill. Everything I know, strategy, everything you saw in the profile was my 4 years in KPMG. That's what shaped my entire career. I'm forever grateful to God for that opportunity. That's what shaped my entire life. But that 4 years was difficult. You come back home, there's no money, you're struggling, you enter loans, you borrow, just because you're trying to get by. But there was a bigger picture, and it was about competence. It was about skill. It was about value. Today, that's what is speaking. Now, in my 30s, I am using my skill to create value. I'm applying my competence to create value. And when I get to 40 and above, I will start consolidating. That's life. Every young people must understand this concept and this principle. Let me tell you the third principle and how you applied in my story, which was emotional intelligence. Do you know that the role that I have today, Associate Vice President, Head of Strategy in a development financial institution, I didn't apply for it. I didn't apply for it. What will make I was recommended for the role while I was enjoying myself in First Bank. I was okay. I set up the SME desk in First Bank. We're doing stuff. I was reporting from me to my boss to the DMD. Everything was great. I didn't want to move because I was just 1 year in the bank. Then I got a call and somebody says that, are you interested to move to this development institution? I'm like, why? I'm not sure. Apparently, I was recommended by the people, KPMG, that I left 1 year ago. What will make your boss think about you 1 year after you've left is because you have emotional credit with them. And when I looked at the story, somebody said, when they finished the strategy session, apparently, coincidentally, KPMG had a retreat with this institution, and then it came out that a head of strategy was needed. And the MD asked the KPMG team, the partner, BC Lamikora, go and verify, and says, who should we, can you recommend somebody? BC spoke to another partner and said, Jeremy left 1 year ago. Don't you think Jeremy would be a good fit for the role? And all of the partners unanimously said, Jeremy, yeah, he'll be good for the role. Look, it is because you would have left value. It is because you had left. See, when people think about you, how do they, what resonates with them? It's because of the kind of commitment and the kind of emotional credit we have with them. That's why they could only think about Jeremy. Thousands of people applied for the role. Thousands of people. In fact, when I was having an interview with the MD asked me, he says, you didn't apply for the role. I said, yes, I know I didn't apply for the role. How did you get here? I said, I was told I was recommended. And then he said to me, for someone to recommend you 1 year after you've gone, you had to have done something right. For people to listen, this partner, BC, she's one of the known name in the financial services industry. But for people to put their name for you, it's only because you have emotional credit with them. I'm asking youth today, young people today, what is your emotional bank balance with people that matter, with people of influence, with people, with your bosses, with the people that will shape your life and destiny, will give you the opportunity? What's your emotional credit with them? Are you investing your time? Or if all you're going to do is what you can get from them, you are losing it. People will speak for you, but the only way they will speak for you when it matters is the kind of investment you've made. First, in competence, because it's key. In value, then in understanding that you will have to trade off the fame of today. You have to trade off, 20 to 40, you have to trade off the influence. You have to trade off the position, the power. If you're lucky that you are a son or daughter of Dangote, then you don't need to listen to me. Then you can, you already have wealth to consolidate on. But if you are the ordinary person, if you came from an ordinary home like I did, and many of us did, then you have a decision to make today. That until you invest in yourself, to grow and to build your capacity, to solve a problem, to be good, to be technically competent, and then you understand that delayed gratification requires that you make sacrifices. You must make the sacrifice required as young people. You might not be in the forefront. Your mates might be having fun, and you might not stay there. Be committed. Be patient with the process. Be patient with the process. When the time comes, just like that, overnight, everybody will say, where has she come from? And to me, if you do that, I believe with this viewpoint of mine, I've been able to convince and not confuse you that this is the way to go. Thank you. Yeah.
Wow, awesome. Amazing stuff, sir. Amazing stuff, Jeremy. I was really, there's a lot of things for me to learn from that. I think there's a lot of things people have actually learned from that also. Amazing stuff. It's a lot of information you've divulged to us today, and I think we'll take time, to chew the cord, to rethink and think through all those information. Amazing stuff, sir. I need to celebrate you, sir, for the information you've shared, and I think even after night, I think quite a number of people will actually engage you, sir. LinkedIn is there. They can easily just patch on you, sir. Just take it, just take it as maybe because of the impact you've actually made, and they would like to really progress to really understand further, because you've actually given us the tips of the iceberg. I do believe that we'll surely shoot to that, sir. So you still came around to give us this insightful thoughts and discussion. Amazing stuff, sir. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So once again, I guess we've actually learned a lot from this session. Yeah, so many comments from people appreciating Jeremy for a great session, amazing session. Feedback from Bola Tito, from Adiko K, a number of feedbacks from them. It's amazing. Thank you so much. And quickly, we we go to the next session now. We have probably time, and we have the next session that we'll be looking into, and we have our speakers here on ground already. The next session, the speakers we have there, we have the team majorly we'll be looking into for this session is practical steps in building a gainful professional career, and it's a dovetail to what Jeremy has mentioned. And so these people will be actually giving us more insight into it, and we have time to actually have a question section. So we have here Vera Inancho and Afolabi Shuaga. So it's amazing to know that these people are great. So we have Vera in our church. She's an agri finance specialist and business intelligence manager with over 6 years experience in agri value chain finance, credits, risk management, rural development, sales, and financial product design, as well as facilitating easy access to low-cost finance for small older farmers across Nigeria. It's an amazing moment having Vera today. And we have Afolabi Shuaga, is current work as a strategy advisor for FBN Insurance Brokers and one of the top insurance broking outfits in Nigeria. Prior to his appointment, he worked as a CX for the bank 125 under 30 award in 2019. Amazing. He has a strong reputation for creativity and ingenuity. His interests include learning, culture, history, relationship, sports, video games, cars, innovations. He has over 10 years of experience in facilitating trainings and seminars and discussions. He's immaculately skilled in passing across complex information in simple and easy to understand messages. Let's kindly welcome on board our key speakers for this session, Afolabi Shuaga and Vera Inacho. All right. Um, Good morning. You can kindly unmute, please.
Good morning,
Hello,
all.
good morning. Yeah, good morning, Vera. Good morning, Afolabi. It's amazing having us here today. And I think this is the perfect time we can actually discuss what we are to discuss now. Jeremy has given us an insight, give us a background to what we need to discuss today. But before we go into the question segment, I would like you to just give us maybe a brief input on who you are and then let's know about your experience. So, participant, please, you can kindly drop your question for this session, please. If you have questions you would like to ask our panelists, kindly drop it and it's going to be dealt with. So let's start with Vera. Yeah, so can you just give us a snapshot of yourself? Let's know more about you in the next maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Let's hear you out.
Good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, the organizers, for this program. It's a rare privilege, to speak with the great people of our nation. We have about 33 million youths and, having the privilege to address some of them to see how we can change the directions of our lives and also impact the economy is a huge privilege, and I don't take it for granted. My name is Mrs. Vera Henacho. I work with Sterling Bank as an agri-business development, expert. I'm currently, a product development manager. I've developed several products, that would positively affect the lives of players in the agri-business, especially the smallholder farmers who, produce most of the food we eat. I'm excited to be here to share my experiences with you, over 6 years experiences, and to advise you on how you can make very good decisions, as regards to starting up a career and your profession. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vera. That was spot on. Spot on. We're still coming back to you, Vera. So, Fafalabi, as a Sunday calling, can we hear you? Please let's know about you. Your profile was amazing. So let's hear about it from the horse's mouth.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope I'm audible enough. Am I
Yeah, you
audible?
are.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. All right. Hi everyone. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you. My name is Afalabi, and like Femi has earlier introduced me. I currently work as a strategy advisor for a leading insurance broking firm in Nigeria. I've been on the road for about a year. Before that, I had experience working in banking, like Jeremy mentioned a couple of times. It was great working with Jeremy and fantastic session, Jeremy. Thank you very much. I learned some new things about you I didn't know before, and a lot of other things that has helped me before, and things I can also apply to help me even going forward. So thank you very much. So I worked with Jeremy at the bank. Before then, I had a brief stint working in pensions as well. So I have, I've been around the financial industry in the country a little bit during this short spell of career that I've had so far. I enjoy having events like this, taking that opportunity to talk to young people, people with like minds, and just sharing ideas. That's really what gets me going. So thank you. I'm looking forward to having such an amazing session with everyone here. All right.
All right. Thank you so much, if for that, Afolabi. So I will actually start with you, Afolabi. You did mention a couple of things. Worked in the insurance side. You moved to the banking. What's really, and that really showed that you are more into that time. So, actually, what really prompted you to really, start your career? I believe you were very much, um, you were more intentional in your pathway thus far in the past 10 years. You have over 10 years of experience. So, what really prompted that? So was it that you sat down and you felt, oh, I have a goal in the next 10, 15 years, so this is how I'm going to do it from year one to year, 10. So what really prompted that intentionality that you made you to move off your career? Well, let's hear from this. Sorry, we can hear you. Okay.
All right, thank you. I was muted, so thank you for
It's
yeah.
all right.
So yeah,
Excellent.
yes, I think you have to be intentional about these things. I mean, this question prompted me to, reminds me of one question I can remember because myself and Femi were actually finished from the same department in OAU, and I can remember a question a colleague asked me during one of those passing out parades or something. That so what's next? What are you going to do? And he gave me two options. Are you going to because we I studied agricultural economics. So, we had two options, most of us. Is that we, go out there and start a farm and start a business or, to the career path in that sense. And, you know, even as early as that time, I'd not done my NYC, I had not done anything. I knew exactly what I was going to do. I knew I was not going to start a business. A lot of my colleagues back then were so eager to start up farms. Our fourth year in university, doing farm here, we had people doing all sort of things. But all those things, I knew that was not the path I was going to take. I was very intentional about it. And as early as that period, I already knew that, what, I had to be here in Lagos looking for opportunities that sort of align with what I want to do. And that was exactly what I did. And so even while my colleagues were back in school doing personal parade, I can remember after my last paper, I was outside. I left Ife, immediately came to Lagos to, join Workforce then. They had this temporal role, and it was a consulting firm. And I knew that was the kind of thing I wanted to do. And so while people were still dancing all around school and doing all sorts of things, I was in Lagos, missing out on all the action. And yes, I did miss some experience, school experience. I didn't get to enjoy what it means to, sign clothes and, all those things. But the truth is, it hasn't changed much for me in that sense. I mean, the decision to leave at that point was a good decision. Like Jeremy said, delayed gratification. In this case, it wasn't even delayed; it was total outright cancel. And because I was able to understand that, this is what is important, this is what is not important, and then I basically just threw myself at what I felt was important at that time. So basically, you have to be intentional about it. You need to, and being intentional requires that you really sit down and ask yourself a few questions, right? So what kind of path do I want to take? What kind of job do I want to have? And there are three things that I think you really need to consider. The first one is your person, right? how is this job or how is this career path or how is this role a fit for me? Does it fit my personality, my skill set, my experience? Where does all of that sit in all of this? It's very, very important. The second thing you also need to also consider is, are there opportunities in this area for me? All right, and opportunities would always be key. Like Jeremy mentioned, time and chance. It's a very integral part of our lives in the sense that you need to be aware of the opportunities that are around you, because it's that awareness that will allow you to take advantage of them, right? For example, just bringing it up a little bit, for if you decide today that you want to become an engineer for electric vehicles, for example, we don't have a market for that in Nigeria yet. So, I mean, deciding that you want to become an engineer for electric vehicles in Nigeria today might not really work out for you. It might not be
Hello.
the best option for you to take. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right, great. So it might not be the best option for you to take. So you need to ask yourself, what are the opportunities, the friends that I have, the relationships that I have, the experience that I have, those things. What are those opportunities and how can I take advantage of those opportunities? And then thirdly, you also need to think about the money as well. Money would always be an important part as well. So in choosing a career path or what, road or journey to take, you also need to ask yourself, will this particular role or this path, give me the kind of money that I want? I can remember when I joined the bank, just yeah, very early at that period, there was an opportunity to apply to oil companies, and I felt, well, this is not a fit for me. I don't want to join an oil company. It's not really what I want to do. And then a couple of colleagues joined, and 1 year, 2 years later, those guys were balling in serious money, and I felt somehow. Well, not like I regretted my decision not to apply, but the point is that you always need to just consider all the factors and when you're making your decision. Because again, if you're not satisfied, someone said once that the key to doing your best work is doing something you love, something you enjoy. And if you're not really satisfied with the job you're doing, it affects your ability to do it very well. And when you're not giving your best to it, you can't get the best out of it as well. So eventually, you discover that it's also very important that you select the path or the career or the job or the role that you're sure would bring you utmost satisfaction. Uh, yeah, basically that's. I think Femi is having network issues, so Vera, you might just want to attempt the same question and just take it from there.
All right, thank you so much. I love your story. Mine is a bit different, as a woman, as a lady. For us, after school, it's just like, okay, you need to, it's either you're pursuing your studies or you're getting a man, you're getting married, right? So for me, well, my background is actually animal science. And I remember, I think in my 100 level, I wanted to switch. So we're going to be having really genuine conversations, right? About, where I am today and the story that led me here, right? So I think my 200 level, right? I had done 100 level. I had very fantastic results. And I said to myself, Vera, do you really want to be an animal scientist? What is that? How much would that even earn you, after you leave school? And I said, okay, let me go to the dean, right? And tell him I want to switch to agric economics like Afolabi so that I can work in the bank. And he said, Vera, sorry, your HOD cannot release you because you are one of the best in the department. I'm like, God, so I am stuck with this course. So but I didn't give up, right? So I tried my best to understand the course, to learn it, to, in fact, to get the highest, scores in every of the subject and courses. And I think when I left, I had, very fantastic CGPA, but that was not, what it was for me. After I left school, I think NYSC, I was called to come and work somewhere as a sales executive. That's a glorified name I've given it to. It was a sales girl, right? But I said, this is better than staying at home, right? And it was for a relative. So I went there. And when I was there, it was actually a pharmaceutical, company. And I had two options: to just be a sales girl or to understand what pharmacy, pharmacology was all about. So I took that step. I read books, about drugs. At the point I started recommending, administration of drugs and all that, and the results were, really good. My boss was, happy, and it was a good one for me. Then from there, someone recommended me to Sterling Bank, and it was a role. It was, as an entry associate, and I said, "Ah, God, what am I going to tell?" Okay, fine. I wanted to work in a bank. When I was in 200 level, what am I going to say? I will bring to the table, and immediately searching about agricultural banking. And when I was called for the interview farm, I'm like, no, excuse me, have you heard of agricultural banking? This and that. By the time I was done with that interview, right, the interviewer was very impressed. And we started to have a conversation like we've known each other, for a long time. So, for me, it was, how do I put it? And incidentally, the time I was finishing NYC was the time the Central Bank of Nigeria instituted banks, mandated banks to have an agri desk, right, in every bank. So it was just, how do I call it? Do I call it fate? So I walked into, that particular opportunity, but I didn't choose to relax, because when we entered the bank, we entered as associates, and it was a very thorough program where you have to, with processes, or you know, how your processes can be better served, and ultimately the bank makes profit. And every time you have to make presentations to executive management, it was sweat, tension, but I think overall it's been a wonderful experience, and I'll share tips on some of the things that I did, to be where I am today. So I think Femi is back on.
Yeah, so sorry, my connection had a little challenge, but I'm back. So I'll pick it on from what you just mentioned now. And let me say, people, participants, you can keep dropping all your questions, and they are right here for us to answer this question. So, how to answer your question, you did mention some of the experience you had. So, what are the challenges you had, because it wasn't easy, though you were very intentional, but you had some glitches, you had some issues, it's not a life is not a straight jacket. So you had some challenges along the way. So can you just share some of the experience and how you're able to tackle those challenges along the way?
All right. So Femi, you would always have to unmute myself and Vera anytime you want us to speak.
Yeah.
If I'm going to unmute. So I thought that question was for Vera, but since I'm on mute, so I'll just start off. So basically, well, there would always be challenges. I mean, I've have had about 4 or 5 jobs since I left school, and and each one of those jobs were things I wanted to do. I mean, I made a move to join those places. I had other options to join other places at those different times as well. And every time I got my dream job in quotes, there will always be challenges. That's one of the things I found. No matter how great your job is, there will always be one aspect that would come as a challenge. And you have two options: either you face it or you run, in that sense. But the point is, there's always an opportunity for you to solve those problems and to fix it, and to see each of those challenges as an opportunity to grow. So let me give you one. I think for me, the two biggest, maybe not biggest, but two challenges that I remember having, and that were tough for me to do was actually making the decision to leave. So every time I had to leave or move from one place to another. So for example, when I was going to leave my first real job, which was with Pensions Alliance Limited, Power Pensions, I mean it was a very tough decision. Number one, I was going to join a very unstructured company, but I was going to work with one of the best minds, in my own opinion, in the country, Mr. Fela the pay he was offering was less than what I was earning at Pal Pensions, but it was an opportunity for me to work very closely with someone I'd admired for a very long time. And it was a really tough decision because it wasn't just because Mr. Fela wanted me as well. My other organization as well had made friends, had built some level of credibility there, and I was going to leave all of that behind to start a new journey. And every time I had to do that, it was always a tough decision. But one of the things that I learned that was very important is that you also need to put yourself first, right? You can't be don't be sentimental about your career or your about your life in that sense. Yeah. In Sometimes I like to view our lives as movies, and I say that in the movie of your life, you're the lead actor. You everything really revolves around you. You are the actor, and you can't die, right, in that sense. So you need to put yourself first, and you need to don't be emotional about it. I mean, if there's an opportunity that opens up, you weigh your chances, and if that opportunity is better than what you're currently enjoying, and you're sure it is the right thing to do, you do it, and then you just go with the flow. And the same thing happened when I was about to leave Faladro. It was a very difficult decision, but then I had an opportunity to join the bank, and it was a great opportunity for me at that time. And even though he didn't want me to leave, but I just had to summon the courage to say that this is what I think was best for me, and to make that move. And same thing when I was about leaving the bank as well. It was again another better opportunity, and I had to move as well. So the point here basically is that there will always be, you need to put yourself first. You don't be sentimental about things like that. And it's not always an easy decision to make the choice to move or to change places or to change your career path. But I mean, if you have to do it, then you should do it. And I think that's the lesson there. The second challenge as well. And so when I was going to join insurance, one of my colleagues in the bank, senior colleagues, he also left anyway, was telling me back then that the insurance industry is not known to have the best minds. It's believed that you have a lot of people there that are just they're just lazy in that sense. They don't really, you don't. It's not a very challenging place for someone who wants to grow, someone who wants to learn, and all that. And I was basically not encouraged to join. But yeah, and that was very, very. I found that to be very true as well when I joined my organization. But the point is, um, rather than just, well, I knew that I still had to make the move anyway. It was still a better opportunity for me, and it was something I needed to do. And so I did that. But one of the things I also did was to try and change that narrative when I got to my organization. So one of the things we started when I got there was to institute a knowledge sharing session where that just put in place processes and things to ensure that our own people are growing. So even if the industry at large is behind, we can be ahead in that sense. And that was just me taking on a challenge and trying to change that narrative. So those are two examples that readily comes to mind in terms of just sort of answering that question. But the first one is very important, that always think about yourself, always think long term, always think about your future, and no matter how tough the decision is if you have to make it, then you should make it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Afolabi. I actually like the first point you did mention that. So I'll go to Vera now. So your experience might probably be a bit different from what Afolabi had, in terms of the companies or where you've actually, and maybe based on your background also. So can you just give us insight on a few of the challenges you had, along the way to your who you have today, Vera?
All right. Well, it's a bit different, but it's also somehow similar because I worked somewhere, even though it was just as a sales rep, right, before joining the bank. And when I wanted to leave, right, when I got called, for the job at Sterling, my former boss said, Vera, I'll match your salary. Besides, are you sure you want to be waking up 5 a.m.? I'm coming home 10 a.m. Lagos traffic, because this work was just some few minutes from home. So I had the choice to remain comfortable, but I knew that no, there was something, I was proposed for. And I think I left out some points, right, when we're speaking on steps to choose when you are building the professional career, right? So those are the things that, spurred me. I said, okay, in 5 years from now, would I be fulfilled doing what I'm doing, right? Would I be happy, right? Apart from the pay, the money is not always everything. Like Jeremy and Afalabi has said, you have to, trade some things. Life is a series of trade. You have to trade comfort, right? You have to make some sacrifices, right, to be truly, truly happy and fulfilled. So it was a big one for me. That decision was hard, but I had to take it anyway. I put myself first, like Afolabi said. Then I remember I said I was in the program. That program was very demanding. You have to prove yourselves, because it was sort of like we were the second batch, in the bank, when they started that program, and we had a lot of resistance. People were like, okay, what do you guys want to come and do differently that have spent 10 years, 15 years in banking, haven't done? Let me see how you guys will prove yourself. So I knew that I couldn't relax. I knew that I had to, burn midnight candles, research. If I see any, loophole, any gap, in some of our processes, I'll have to go back. I even had to, form relationships outside the bank. Look for fellow bankers. Okay, guys, how do you do these things that you do, right, on this job? How? So this is the challenge. This is some of the challenges that we're having. How are you guys doing your own stuff differently? I had to leave. I had to, in fact, put everything down, learn, you know, I was humble. Even when I was posted to several departments and people had very, you know, this tough resistance and all that, I had to say, okay, guys, we are together on this, you know. This is one bank, you know. Whatever we do is for the best, you know, and for the growth of the bank. So I had to put myself down. I did the menial, you know, stuff, the things that, you know, the interns usually do. I ran photocopy, you know, anytime they wanted to do photocopies, I did it for them. If they wanted to print out callovers, you know, I had to put myself down. I flung my high heels, you know, no shakara that time, you know, I had to just humble myself, you know. I blended with them. I understood, you know, where they were coming from, because of course, at the end of the program, you'll be promised, you know, double promotion, right? It was a fast track program. It was career fast track program. It was an associate program. So there were a lot of good things, you know, at it. But during that phase was really challenging. But some of the ways I got through was learning, you know, doing endless research, forming very intimate relationships with these people that perceived me as, you know, an enemy. You know, we became best friends, and so those are some of the challenges I faced and how I was able to overcome some of them. Right. Yeah. Femi, we can't hear you. Your microphone is muted.
Oh wow! All right, you did mention a few things that you did, which so many people are not willing to do in today's, you know, in terms of you humble yourself, you know, even though you feel, well, I'm too much to photocopy of some documents, or maybe some of professor maybe send you some errands. You feel no, I'm too much for this, but you actually willing to undergo the process, which quite a number of people are not willing to do today. And I think that's a very big lesson that we should learn, you know, for us and for those coming behind us. For us to understand that for you to get to the place of success, you need to be willing, you know, to stoop down low and to do the very little thing you feel is too looks too big for you to do. That's amazing. That's very spot on. So I'm coming back to you very now. I have two more questions for this session, and my question is, you started your career. You said you have over 6 years of experience now in your career, and so if you had to start again, what would you have done better? What were the learning points all through this process? You know, you thought, oh, these are where the errors I made. You know, maybe in my early days, but if I have to start again, I would do this. I would do other things better. Can we hear from you?
All right. Thank you very much for that question. Well, I would like to call my 6 years, you know, though it came with some bumps, you know, some challenges, but I like to look at the glass cup as half filled, right, than half empty.
Mm,
My
mm,
6 years has been an interesting journey, right? I didn't get into the bank to do regular banking, right? So immediately I got into the bank, I think I spent 6 years, 6 months at branch operations. From there, I moved to trade services, you know, where we facilitated international trade transfers. From there, I went to credit risk management. You know, from there I went to agricultural finance, you know, where I was able to display some of my skills and my background knowledge, you know, into assisting farmers, you know, to make to assess finance for upscaling their businesses. And also from there I moved to strategy and innovation. So my 6 years has been, you know, very interesting. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And I'm grateful for a major step, you know, I took at the end of my graduate associate program. I had the option of going back. In fact, the group head said, Vera, okay, you read animal science, come and work with us in agri finance. I said, but do I want to? I don't want to remain fine. I read animal science. I'm an agri, you know, enthusiast, but I don't want to. I want to also go around, you know, learn several things, learn banking, learn, okay, internal control, what do they do there? Audits, what do you guys do? The strategy and innovation, what do you guys do? How do we all come together, you know, to make sure that the bank is where it is and, you know, it's serving customers, you know, very well. So I took that step, you know, we had formed an excellent relationship. I call her my mother today, you know, but I had to leave that unit and I went through several departments and I learned a lot, you know, I learned a lot of things. And sometimes when we have issues that people can't see beyond, you know, beyond, but because of the vast experience I've gathered over time by going around, you know, departments, I'm able to bring some solutions to say, okay, guys, why don't we do it this way? Based on the experiences I have, from this department, why don't we do it this way? Um, I won't call it a setback. I also share one experience. I won't call it a setback because I'm grateful, I went through that experience. If not, I would have been very comfortable. So just like I said, I didn't want to remain in agri finance. After my SGAP program, I wanted to continue with the rotation, right? There was also a time we finished the rotation and we were asked to choose where we'll be posted to. I said, well, I don't want to I don't want to influence it, right? Let management come up and tell us, okay, where they want to post us to. And guess what? By the time I was seeing my posting, it was the Koi branch as what? And a funds transfer officer. And I'm like, what? I stay at Ojodubega and I'll be going to Ikoyi every morning. But I said, okay, let me take, the Bible says all things work together for good. So I said, fine, maybe, right? This wants to teach me, some lessons. And I'm grateful I went to that place, right? So I think I spent a year and 6 months in Ikoyi branch, serving as a funds transfer officer and all that. Few months, before I left the place, there was an opening, for a management associate program, right? A senior, a much higher level of the program that I had done before. And I was like, God, I'm now becoming, a pro in this funds transfer business in channel operations. And very soon I'll be the deputy service manager. Do I want to be here and a child too, right? Do I want to be here, control things and all that? Or I want to go through this program, learn as much as I can to be a well-rounded banker and, and to be able to solve, challenges that the bank is currently facing in the process. I was like, it was a tough one for me, but at the same time, the stress, the stress that comes with, commuting to work every day, in fact, just staying in one place, made me very, very uncomfortable. So I said, I'm going to apply for this management associate. If they take me, fine. If not, right, I will remain where I am. But I was already very uncomfortable at the branch where I was. And so I had to apply for the program. And, as God will have it, I was called for the program. I went through several departments, understood, some of their processes, and I finished that program successfully. So I am grateful that I went to the branch, because if I hadn't gone to the branch, I would have been comfortable at the head office, right? Doing what I know how to do best, doing agricultural financing. And what is it? If other people are talking about very important matters, strategy and innovation, internal control, trade services, structured trade finance, I wouldn't have anything to contribute. But I'm happy that I left the head office, went to the branch, suffered for a while, saw another opportunity, took it, and I'm back, to agri finance. So with all the knowledge I have, in fact, one time I left, immediately I left the branch, my first posting was strategy and innovation. And they had an issue with branches. And I was like, I've worked in a branch before. These are some of the issues. They were like, wow, okay, Vera, thank you for that, suggestion. Let's see what we can do. So if I hadn't gone to the branch, I would have learned what I learned. It wasn't easy, commuting, waking up at 5, getting home by 11, 10, and still have to do some reconciliation and so many other things. So it hasn't been, a smooth one, but God has been faithful. But all through it all, I kept being diligent. Like Afolabi said, you have to love what you do.
Okay, it's not working.
You have to, beyond the money, room does. We were able to learn some very key skills, emotional intelligence, so many other things. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
People management, we have to learn a lot of skills, people management, critical thinking, problem solving. So that program actually shaped me, and I was able to learn a lot of soft skills as well as core skills, to function on the job. But what kept me going was passion, commitment. I said, I can't afford to fail, right? I can't afford to quit, because quitters never win. So those were some of the things that kept me going, even despite, the challenges that I faced. It hasn't been all, fun and games, but it's been a very wonderful journey in Sterling Bank.
All right, great, amazing. Thank you so much for you actually said a lot of things in that little area. So I have this question for Afolabi. There's a question from the chat box that says, what do you have to say about one's relationship with our boss as it gains career growth? What do you have to say about one's relationship with his or her boss
All right.
It's against career growth.
All
What
right,
do you think?
thank you, Femi. But so before I speak on that, I just wanted to add to what Vera said because I think it's also very important to share this. I think it's one of the biggest lessons I've learned in my life, and thankfully, I think I learned it very early in my career, and that is to never look down on any opportunity. Opportunities are like they're like icebergs, right? What you see is not usually the total picture of it, and you need to always you know get to the bottom of it before you decide whether or not to go with the opportunity or not. And this is what happened to me. So while just about the time I was joining Pal Pension, this was after my NYC, and I got an opportunity. So I just joined about a week into my role with Pal Pensions. There was an opportunity to uh, interview for a job at Stanbic IBTC. And then I felt, and I had a friend, we're staying together at my sister's place. And because I got a job with Pal Pensions, and I felt I already have a job. There's no point, doing another interview. I mean, I just started this job and, but it was an opportunity, but I was too into my success at that time to be concerned about new opportunities. And what happened was that my other friend, she actually did the interview, got into the place and joined the bank. And then I was still in power pensions. Aside the fact that I was earning more than I was at that point, but he had started his own journey in the bank, and I was going to join the bank about 2 years later. And by the time I was joining the bank, I was starting afresh as number one, as an ET in that sense. So 2 years had gone past, and I was starting my own banking career. And the point is that if I had, just taken the effort to say that okay, this is an opportunity. What really is in this opportunity? Is this something I really want to do? The point is, I was just not bothered. I was just too, carried away with my success at that time that I felt, no, this is not for me. There's no point really checking it out. And I think it's a very, very big lesson for everyone here. Whatever opportunity, no matter how small it looks at the onset, no matter how insignificant it looks, I mean, always take it upon yourself to really examine the opportunity, get to the bottom of it, make sure you've done your due diligence, make sure you've checked it out, make sure you're really, really certain that it's not something that is for you. All right, until you've done that body of work, that you've done that level of diligent work to be sure that this thing is not it, then don't make a decision. Point is always, always, always examine opportunities from the top to the bottom because they're like icebergs. All you see is not always a total picture most of the time. There's always more to it, and you need to always diligent enough to check. And I think that's very important. And to go straight into the question that was asked about, how do you marry
Yeah,
your
privilege.
career
Yeah.
goals and your relationship with your boss. I think that those two things are not mutually exclusive in the sense that you can have a relationship with your boss and still grow your career. In fact, one of the keys to actually growing your career is actually having a relationship with your boss. It's very important.
Mm.
Our leaders or our managers they're like leads in that sense. All right, you really can move on to the next level sometimes without them actually allowing you to. All right, in a lot of cases, so you need to learn to work with them. So I mean, don't see them as two is it that this or this? Even in cases I like Jeremy, thank God for Jeremy's story. Even in cases when you have to leave and move from one job to another job, I mean, you always keep that relationship intact. I like to say that it's very important that you do not burn your bridges, no matter what. All right. Even if there is a
Mm.
conflict, always make sure that you try to resolve. So I'll also give you a very personal example. When I was about leaving the bank, my manager at that time, Frances, was so distraught. I mean, we had grown this, and what made it really, really difficult for us was that when I was about leaving, I kept all that away from her. I didn't mention anything to her that I was interviewing somewhere, I was considering an offer, and I just came one day and said, Frances, I have a job somewhere. I'm leaving very soon. And then she was so disappointed in me. She didn't want me to go. In fact, she said, "No, what? You are going to do 1 month compulsory, before you leave, and all that, and all that." And our relationship was sort of, you know, affected in a way, But I knew that it was important for me to leave on a very good note. I could have said, "No, Francis, you know what? This is my resignation letter. I'm not staying one extra day. Do whatever you want to do. After all, you're no longer my boss and all that." But I just understood that relationships are always important, right? And these people, you might be leaving the organization today, but you might still need that person tomorrow in that sense. And even if you don't, you just always important that you learn to not burn your bridges, right? Keep them there. If there is a conflict, it's best you resolve the conflict and not dissolve the relationship, right? It's always very important. Resolve the conflict, do not dissolve relationship. So I had to look for a way to manage that relationship, manage that situation. I made the move, supported me eventually, and we're still going strong today. She's someone I could call today to say, Francis, I need ABC, and she'll be more than willing to supply. Right. So it's very important that you understand that your relationship with your boss, with your manager, with your leaders, and even with your colleagues would always be important for your career growth. So it's not a case of one against one. It's always one and one together. It's both of them together. Your high should be fixed on both. One of them should be seen as a means to an end in that sense, as that I can leverage this relationship to grow. Like Jeremy said, it was his previous boss in KPMG that recommended him for the current role he's doing. So you never can tell when you will need that recommendation. You never can tell when you need that good word spoken concerning you. So always, always, always maintain the relationship.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And this is the last question. Just in 20 seconds, we are far behind schedule. I like the last point you made. You said resolve the conflict, don't resolve the relationship. I think that's very deep for me today. So if you have to give an advice to colleagues like you in one word, in 20 seconds, what will you say for their career?
Is that familiar to Vera?
To you, yeah. Last question to you, yeah. Last
Oh,
question to
okay,
you.
okay. So, if I'm to give one particular advice to people is, I think I've said it earlier, all right? Put yourself, first in that sense. And this doesn't mean you should be selfish or self-centered. It's just that you should be focused on the goal of what you want to achieve, what your dreams are, and your dreams are always valid. There is really no restriction as to what you can do or what you can be, and always have your eyes on that. And if there's whatever it is that is required, the work required, the effort required, always be willing to put it in, and always give it your best shot. I mean, always do your best work. That's very important. Always do your best work. It's very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Amazing stuff. So, Vera, if I may ask you one word in 20 seconds to colleagues, to youth like us.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, I have a lot to say, but let me see if I can wrap it up in 20 seconds. Mine would be anywhere you find yourself, be a leader, right? John Maxwell had a lot of principles. If you can get that book, The Laws of Leadership, Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. If you can get that book, try to read it to greatly improve, you. Let me quickly address the question on relationship. Nobody does anything alone. In fact, if you are with your boss, I think you spend most time with her than you even do with your family, right? You spend about, let's say you resume work 8, you close 5. That's a lot of hours. So you have to be intentional with relationship building. Try to build a very cordial relationship with her. Deposit a lot of value, right? Like Jeremy said, build an emotional bank, with your boss, such that, in fact, when you make mistakes, they will make excuses for you, right? So try your best, no matter how difficult it is. Understand EI, emotional intelligence, right? That would help you, work with people because you'll be self-aware. You also be aware of people's emotions and you know how to manage it. Now, my last word is for you to be a leader. Try to prioritize what you do. If you want to see who a person will be, look at the person's daily agenda. What takes your time overnight? Do you go the extra mile, or do you just waste time scrolling endlessly on social media, right? Try to be disciplined, try to have vision. When I say leader, I'm not saying you must occupy, a position for you to be a leader, or you must be a manager for you to be a leader. Everybody is a leader, if you're able to follow some certain principles. And now successful leaders are learners. Try to always learn. There is the internet. It's not for you to just watch, Netflix and chill. It's not for you to, look at the newest video in town. Try to equip yourself. There are about 3 million youths. Most of them are unemployed. Try to be different. If you are given the opportunity, right, to have a professional career, that's before you figure out in building, creating jobs for people. Leadership has nothing to do with comfort, right? It has everything to do with progress. Life is a series of trade. You have to give something, in order to gain something. Burn the midnight candles, go the extra mile. You have a problem at work. try to say, okay, who can I meet to help me address this problem? Be humble, right? Humble yourselves. And always be open to problems. Don't always look at the glass cup as half empty, right? Have this very positive mindset, because that is the way you'll be able to approach, challenges and problems in life. Like I said, be intentional in your relationship building. Nobody does anything well. And also have momentum. When you see someone that has a drive, you will be willing to, work with that person. People will be willing to work with you. People will be willing to assist you. Don't be laid back. Don't be lackadaisical, about life. Be intentional about life, right? Try to be creative and know that you can't afford to quit. There's a purpose for everybody here on earth, and try your best, to figure out that purpose and do everything, right, to be able to make a name, to be able to know the legacy you want to leave, right? Say, okay, fine, if I'm leaving this place today, what would they remember me for? Jeremy said they recommended him to a DFI. Trust me, not anybody, not just anybody can work in a DFI. You have to have some certain skills, but and you have to be competent, and you have to be able to prove yourself. So you have to have both soft skills and core skills, character and competence, right? So if they recommended him, that means there was something he did right, like his boss said. So try to leave a good legacy. Try to have those things in mind when you're doing what you do, because everybody's watching you. Just be shocked that no one is watching. Please, people are watching you. So my last words is, be the legacy that you want to leave. Thank you so much.
Legacy is the key. Legacy is the key. Thank you so much, Afolabi, Ifo, and Vera. So I'll probably call her Veracious. Thank you so much for this amazing moment. Learned a lot personally, from the experience, even though we've been working for a while, but it's an amazing hearing from you. So thank you so much for this session. It's been inspiring and motivating. Thank you so much. So we'll quickly have in 30 seconds, just go on a short break, and we'll be back shortly for the next session. Thank you. Welcome once again. So we are back for the next session, and we have our panelists and the speakers ready on board already. So I will call on. We have our the moderator of this session, who will be coming shortly. Toby Jayoba is here. Okay, let me just a second. Okay, so you are spot on, sir. Can you hear me, please? Toby, kindly unmute, sir. Can you unmute, please?
All right. I was trying to get you to unmute me. Yeah. Can you hear
Okay.
me? All right. Okay. So, hello everybody. Um, just for the sake of feedback, can we, um, can someone just indicate they can hear me? All right. Thank you very much. All right. So, yes, you're welcome to this second section. My name is Oluwatobi Jayoba. Actually an audit professional in the consumer business space with Deloitte Nigeria. I'm also an associate of the GMM community, and I'm honored to be the one to anchor this session. And I trust we'll have a wonderful time because I know our panelists, they are set for us. This session is going to be focused on education as one of the pillars of human well-being. And in my own words, I would refer to it as arming oneself with the right information. And so, particularly, we'll be discussing a topic that says leveraging on emerging opportunities to have a strong educational background. And so I will join every one of us as participants to get our writing materials handy. Let's listen with full attention so as to be able to glean enough nuggets from our panelists and get the best out of this session. So without much ado, I would want us to meet with our speakers shortly. Um, all right, so one of our panelists for this session is Wale Adejuigbe. Wale Adejuigbe is a people, product, and places developer, is a management consultant, organization developer, trainer, and human resource practitioner. He has conducted several interventions in the area of performance management, organization design, logistics, and workforce activation for different companies in the country. He is an educational consultant with precisely 8 years working with different schools on the area of school management, population increase, quality assurance, debt management, and parents management. He is an educational consultant. Sorry, pardon me. His prowess in these areas has taken him to many schools across the country. He manages the teaching operation for over 75 schools, and he has increased the population of many schools with his first degree at Obafemi Awolowo University. He has PDG at Olabisi Onabanjo University and master's degree in educational psychology from the University of Lagos. Wale is often referred to as a coach, or rather as Coach Wale, pardon me, for his coaching approach on transforming individuals, organizations, churches, fellowships, and schools. He runs several online platforms where he coaches individuals, sales professionals, proprietors, administration, and HR professionals on a daily basis. Is married to Temitayo Adejuigbe, who is a fashion entrepreneur, and God has blessed their union with Charis and Daniel. So let's welcome Wale Adejuigbe on board this session. You can put on your camera, Wale. Um, okay. All right. Um, can you unmute yourself, sir? Can you just say hi? Um, okay, just a moment.
Thank you very much. I
All
want to
right.
say I'm happy to be here. I want to appreciate everyone. Thank you for having me here. The entire GMM community, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's good to have you, sir. You're welcome. Yeah, and so without much ado, uh, we will also want to introduce our second panelist for this session quickly. So just a minute while I get the slide ready. So also we have on board for this session Oluwaseyi Adelaju, who is the co-founder and head of growth of Nigeria's um, leading learning platform, Gradely.ng. So Oluwaseyi Adelaju is an entrepreneur focused on opportunities where technology has the potential to transform education. As a technology entrepreneur, marketing strategist, and education enthusiast, he has been directly involved in creating products and solutions that make learning easier for students, empower schools to do their work better, and help parents to support their children better. She has over 7 years experience in growing and managing technology companies. This includes serving as the head of marketing operations in a Lagos-based venture capital firm, where it drives growth in portfolio companies such as automotive technology startup, VisaCheck.co, leading HR tech company, GetQualified.work, and influencer marketing startup, Light Crowd. As earlier said, was the co-founder and operations lead of School Compass, Nigeria's largest organic collection of schools, and is currently a co-founder and head of growth of Nigeria's first adaptive learning platform, Gradely.ng. She holds a master's degree in school media from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. So let's welcome uh, Shay De Laju. I'm trying to get you to unmute your mic and also share your video so we can see you.
Mm-hmm. Hi everyone. Thanks for having me. Thanks Toby, and great to connect with Adewale as well. I'm excited to be part of the GM community again. You've always been around, and I
All right.
celebration.
All right. So we are so honored to have you to help discuss education in this session. I think I will start with you, Sheyi. I just want you in say 60 seconds. Just tell us the kind of work you do at Gradely.ng and how it's helping to transform education in Nigeria.
Yeah, thanks, Toby. So Gridley was built out of one hypothesis that every child can have an A and everybody can excel. And people don't just excel because they have learning gaps. And when these learning gaps compound over the year, they become an opportunity gap. They become a great knowledge gap, which leads to an opportunity gap, which affects where they can be in life. I'll put this in practical terms. If a child doesn't understand algebra in primary 5, the child will struggle to understand simultaneous equation in JSS1 and 2, and they will not be able to understand equation in JSS3. They will not be able to understand physics and how to change the formula, change the formula in SS1. Then the child cannot become an engineer in life. Then the child cannot go to school. Then the child,
a long chain reaction.
long chain reaction of a small learning gap
Yep.
that started sometime in primary 5. So Bailey's theory is that if we can help every teacher and every student and every parent identify the learning gap in their child and discover that learning gap immediately and fix that learning gap, that child can go ahead to achieve whatever he wants to become. So our platform is basically a personalized learning platform that parents and teachers use to just identify. So you can have 20 students in your class and they all have different learning gaps based on their education background, their personality, their learning style, and all. So our AI part to basically identify where these learning gaps are, and help the teachers and help the students provide personalized resources that just help them solve their learning gaps. So it's about personalizing learning, finding learning gaps and bridging them just in time, for child to exam.
Oh, splendid. Thank you very much, Shay. I'd like to switch to Wale right now. I just like you to just tell us a bit about yourself and what you do at Connectium.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so,
my name is Wale Adejuigbe. I'm a school consultant. I focus on school operation.
Great.
And the reason for this is because, much more than, I believe that environment has a lot of impact and influence on the ability of a child to get quality education. So, and when I'm talking about it this way, I'm saying that the construct of a school, what is obtainable and the possibilities in that school will determine, what will happen later. I like what Asheyi talked about, talking about the learning gap from algebra to simultaneous equation. And then, you see, if you have a bad teacher in that equation, you discover that teachers can influence that more. And teachers, the way teachers can influence is the fact that when a school creates a certain environment that makes the teacher willing, makes the teacher, permit me to use the word, force the teacher to be able to do what needs to be done so that the children will be able to take or will be able to grab what they need to grab. So that makes me go into schools and consult in creative ways. They can provide environment and system that will help the children to function and to thrive. Because the end product of going to school is not certificate. The end product of going to school is ability to create something that will better lives. It's not even to make money. That is one of the problems that a lot of people have, even currently and before now. A lot of people think, okay, if you go to school, that is when your shoe will sound. Permit me to use this word. But I used to tell people right now, it is people that read now that their bata is wearing sherere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
And the reason is because, you can see the mindset that created that song. That the reason why you go to school is because you want your shoe to sound, to have good shoes. But that's not it. Why? Because we now have people that can afford good shoes, but they left school in SS3. They left school in 100 level. So we need to look at it from that angle. That if the proprietor of a school doesn't understand this thing I'm saying, it will affect the children.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I go into the schools to reorientate the schools, to give them practical and creative ways by which they can create the environment for the children to thrive academically.
Oh, that's very interesting and quite enlightening from you, Mr. Wale. Thank you for that. So we are going to get cracking into the topic, really. And for our participants, I'll join us to also get questions ready. We can just drop them in the chat box while we carry on with the session. So I'm just going to continue from you, Wale.
Okay.
When we talk about education as a concept, the meaning given is dependent on who is talking about it. A lot of people would probably think education to be that classroom experience within the four walls of a school. But from the standpoint of a professional that you are, I'd like you to tell us what education really is about.
Thank you very much. I would like to talk about what education is about by first talking about what is not education.
Oh, great.
Education is not academics. In other words, we have to be able to separate. If you want to define education correctly, you have to separate academics from education. Academics is a process in education. but academics is not education. The end product of academics is possibly you becoming a professor, but that doesn't mean you are educated. So, and education is not examination. Please, I don't know. Just permit me. Education is your ability to assess your environment for options and opportunities. I think that is a very, very important part. As an educated citizen, what it means to be an educated person is that I have an ability to assess my environment for the options that those environments create, for the possibilities of those environments, and I develop solutions for those opportunities based on the urgency of that environment.
Yep.
Let me repeat myself. Education is my ability to assess my environment for options and opportunities. And then I prefer solution, because that's part of the ability.
Yep.
To these opportunities, so that I'll be able to maximize it based on the urgency of these options in my environment. So you see a graduate says that I am illiterate or I am educated, but he says I am looking for job, first year, second year, third year. And then here is another person that did not go to university, employing people in their numbers. Why? Because he has been able to identify what is going on in the environment and is giving solution. And in fact, the solution is becoming too much for him to handle. So he had to recruit
the graduates.
So I ask many times, which of these two, which of them can you say that is educated? Is it the one that finished, that graduated, or the one that is employing graduates? Because employment sometimes, or ability to employ, sometimes it is a test of education. Ability to be employable is a test of academics. When you see somebody that can employ another person, it means that that person knows what the other person does not know. So our understanding of education needs to shift from what you go to class to sit and get to what you know and you have skill about. So to me, education is all about, is about ability. It has nothing to do about, it has something to do about classroom, but the process of getting education is academics. Academics pass sitting in the class, listening to teachers, going for examination and writing exam and pass. So that is a process. It is meant to take you somewhere. But when you stop in that process, every bus stop doesn't mean I've gotten to my own bus stop. If I'm in a bus and a bus stop in a bus stop, it doesn't mean I've gotten to where I'm going. So education is the big picture. Academics is possibly the short step, a step that you take in education.
Oh, thank you very much. Shay, would you like to wade in on that matter to give us your own insight of what it means to be educated? Coming.
Okay.
Can you unmute now? All right. Yep.
I'm sure I can do it now. Okay. I think that Adewale spoke to the crux a lot. For me, I see education as a conditioning of the mindset to realities and opportunities beyond one's experience. So the way God has created us as humans, education is all around us. We learn from everything, and every experience kind of shape our mindsets, a lot of opportunities. So what has now happened is that what formal education is designed to do is that it brings opportunities and mindsets that are far beyond you and brings it close to you. So you don't have to go to you experience everything before you know everything. So if I would define education, like I would say I would define education as the conditioning of the mindset to realities and opportunities beyond one experience. It is education that suddenly makes you start speaking so well beyond how people around you speak, beyond your mother tongue. It is education that makes you just understand that knows in a particular part of the world and it does not rain, even though it does not seem to know anywhere. So that's the reality. Also for opportunities, education that makes you know that you can write some lines of code, and a lot is happening differently somewhere. So I think that education itself has like some key legs, knowledge sharing, network building, and opportunities. So ability to share knowledge, know knowledge, ability to be very knowledgeable. Um, it's something Jerry said something earlier in the previous session, and he was saying that the way to add value is to be knowledgeable. Like the amount of value that you can give is tied to the amount of knowledge, and that's the crux of education. Education believes that education is that the real crux of education is that the more knowledgeable you are about something, the higher the chances that you can create value for yourself and then for people around you in that space. So again, another key part of education is network building. The more educated you are about something, your network reflects it. Nobody has more doctor friends than a doctor, right? Nobody has more teacher friends than a teacher. Nobody. So your network is also an evidence of your level of education. So if you have a lot of quality mechanics around you, maybe you're very knowledgeable about the mechanical works yourself. So if you look at it, so I think that the way to test education is how much knowledge you have, what type of network that you have, and what type of opportunities that you can recognize and cling to. Typically, ability to see opportunities and take opportunities just tied to how educated you are about those opportunities, right? So if you are very educated about something, when the opportunity to just grab it come, when opportunities come, you see you cannot recognize opportunities if you are not very educated. Like if you are not mentally trained to see those opportunities and just go for it. So finally, the other definition of education for me is identification of gaps, right? See, beyond your algebra definition I just gave, all of life, we all go around with knowledge gaps. We don't know. So if you buy a car today, you start learning things about car that you've never known before. Now you saw your fuel finishes, your fuel pump can get damaged. You don't know this if you are a passenger of your life. You don't just know that if you continue running on a low fuel, you're going to damage your fuel pump eventually. But you just got educated, right? So again, the more you begin to identify gaps in your life. I didn't know this, but having a car just made me now know that, oh wow, this is a learning gap. I didn't even know this, and I've been entering cars all my life, right? So the key part of education, to sum it up, is knowledge sharing, network sharing, or network building, ability to recognize and take up opportunities, and then finally ability to identify knowledge gaps that you have. Education that makes you know you don't know something. Like exposes your own knowledge gap and see that, you know what, I don't even know this. Like when you see some students, some other part of the world, and be like, wow, students can do this in China. I didn't even know this at this age in Nigeria. So that's really what education.
Okay. All right. I'm still going to have to take you up on a couple of questions now, Shay. Um, I, it's so vivid that part of what you do at Gridley is to identify knowledge gaps among children students and see how to bridge the gap. Now, the thing is that we have young people on the call, and they probably have a chain of knowledge gaps. So and it's pointing to the fact that this question one is our system of education, is it meeting our needs as consumers of education? Then two, for our young people that have identified gaps, or probably haven't even identified gaps, but they know they have gaps, they don't know it specifically, how can they bridge? What steps can they take to bridge that gap? Yeah.
Thank you. So
Yep.
if I would start from where we are, see, I don't want to join. We all know that we have trouble with the education system here. We all know that.
Okay.
Saying all of
Yep.
that is also required. Everybody knows that um, our education should be a whole lot better than what it is. And we also look at education the way I defined it and say that it's knowledge building, opportunities, network building, and all of that. Like, the question is, how much of network does our current education help? Well, it depends. It depends on the type of education that you have. Even in Nigeria, right? Depends on the type of school you go to. The opportunities can be significantly different. The exposure can be significantly different. The culture in the environment can be significantly different, right? So it's not enough to, if in terms of curriculum, um, one of the good things I've seen is that for K to 12, for kindergarten to secondary schools, school owners, especially private school owners, have recognized inadequacy in our own Nigerian curriculum, and then they've built all type of curriculum. You see schools running Nigerian American, Nigerian British, Nigerian Turkish, Nigerian Canadian, Montessori.
Montessori, French.
Exactly, people have built a lot of things to make up for the gap in our own curriculum, just to make sure that we are a lot more ready. That's why there are schools in Nigeria today that prepare people to be able to just go from those classrooms to go to tertiary institutions abroad. However, those type of schools are very, very expensive many times, and the average Nigerian don't have access to them. So they are still stuck with regular curriculum, which is even poorly implemented. So that problem exists. And do I think that? So the answer to your question is, yeah, I think that maybe we are not preparing, our education is not preparing learners for the world of work as much. But I also see that there's been a lot of progress in the private sector, both in Arkansas, um, even at the private university level. But
Yeah.
I get to interact with product of a lot of private universities, some private universities, which during my undergraduate days, we look down on them a lot and just call them glorified secondary school. And opportunities that they've had in school and the type of exposure that they've had, and I really wish that we had that in school. But I'll give an instance. I mean, I attended IFE, and when I was on youth
Oh,
service,
sorry. You attended OAU, or which school did you attend?
OAU, Obafemi University, for my first year.
Ah, oh, interesting. I did also.
I think a lot of people so far the network. So I was saying
Oh
that
God.
during my youth service, students from a private university that I just mentioned their name, and this guy is already ICANN chartered. He's not studying accounting, but his school
Wow.
gave him exposure to writing ACCA from year one. So every
Great.
year it was built into their school system. So by the time this guy was in youth service, he was writing his final examinations for ICANN. By the time he finished youth service, he was ICANN chartered. 1 year after service, he was working in one of the top 4 companies. Between now and then, he's out of the country already. Like, the exposure that school gave him was just different. It wasn't even as much as whether I was a genius or something, right? So I would say that maybe in the public sector we are not doing as much, but I think that people are beginning to learn to increase. I keep repeating, education is a lot of is about opportunities that you can get, right? So that answers that question. The other question is, if you have learning gap, see, the most important form of education is self education. Ability to know that you don't know something is very valuable. So if you have gotten to the point where you already figured out that there's a lot that you don't know, yeah, your education has just started, because now you know the things to focus on, and then you can just take it learning gap for learning gap, and you can even prioritize. You can tilt towards your strengths and tilt towards your weakness. And thankfully now knowledge is ubiquitous. There is knowledge everywhere. You can know the things you don't know, and you can bridge them. That's why thank God for the world of open courses, for the world of Coursera, for all of this knowledge that is just out there. So it's just you figuring out what you don't know and then plugging in knowledge to bridge them. See, I've seen 3 months of tutorial do what people could not do in 6 years in secondary school. Just put one person in one exam preparatory class. After 3 months, yeah, a whole lot. And all the things that you don't understand in JSS1, they've grasped it fully in just 3 months, right? So what I've seen is that once you can the real problem is identifying learning gaps. Once you got to the point where you know the source of your problem, you know that I'm just terrible with understanding this simple thing, then the problem is absolved, because you can now personalize learning. You can focus learning resources on those learning gaps, and then you can move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. So I'll be switching over to you, Wale, on this one. For me, I think I I hold this particular concern very, very personal. Let me put it that way, because we see today that a lot of graduates, some employers consider them unemployable, and it boils down to this concept of education. Uh, so I mean, I've been able to at least confirm from you that education is beyond just having a certificate. All right. So what can we do to curtail this problem in terms of unemployment? Because it's one thing for one to be unemployed, and it's going to be a greater problem for another person to be unemployable.
Yes.
So what do you think we can do to reverse the trend?
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
Oh, thank you very much. I would like to start. I would like to answer this question by saying that, you know, the system of education we currently run, even up to the tertiary level, was developed when only few people had the privilege of going to school. I mean, 20, 30 years ago, don't let me say 20 years, 30 years ago, if you're a graduate in this country, you are a super hot kid. And the reason for that is because how many people could afford to go to university at that time? Only few people. Now the problem is, okay, I saw when Sheyi was talking about OAU. You said you also finished from OAU. Myself, I'm also OAU alumni,
Okay,
alumnus.
great, great, Ife.
Yeah, great. During the course of my undergraduate, I think that was my part 5. We were in a class, and the professor of soil science, I'm not going to mention his name. At a point when he was dictating the note for us, at a point he said, yes, this was where I stopped in 1991. I'm talking about 2009. That same note, he said this was where I stopped in 1991 when I taught them. Now, when you look at that, you look at it that, okay, so there was no revised edition. Not even a volume 1 or volume 2. There was nothing. You just took the note like that. So that tells us the reason why there is no research and there is no result of research even in our university. It's not first about the funding. And the reason is because, you see, when you go through the content of what the students on campuses, what they are going through right now, I'm not talking about the private universities, because when you look at it also, I think some private universities are coming up. But we know that the cost of running a private university is not a small money. So finance has a way of impeding what they can even do. But when you look at the public universities, the university that produced us, you discover that the content that they are giving them were developed when few people, when it was good, when you graduate, and Intercontinental Bank will come to the graduation ceremony to come and carry all the first class. But you know what happened right now? That has stopped. Why? Because we are churning graduates. And the concept of competition is that when you are plenty seeking for something, the value of the thing becomes very high.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yes. So when we are talking about unemployment, this is not a function of the government. Let's say it's it's not, because the best government can give to a graduate, I tell you, is to give them job in Ministry of Education, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Ministry of Justice. The best government can give in form of employment is civil service. But you and I know that to move this nation forward, we are not talking about civil servants. We are talking about creative entrepreneurs. We are talking about creative staff that understand how marketplace runs and is ready to deliver solutions and value. So what happened to the way I see it is the fact that the schools, the educational system is not preparing the children or the students for the market. There is let me use the word of Sheyi, there is a strong learning gap, or there is a strong coordination gap between what we need outside and what is going on in the oven that is supposed to prepare the children to come and do something outside. So what we need to do is that possibly, and I'm saying this carefully, possibly, universities need to invite the industrialists, the creative entrepreneurs, the people out there. They need to bring them on board as guest lecturer, as an observer. Some of them need to sit in our classes to listen to Toby. I'm sorry, I had a lot of experience about these things, and it bothers me. I finished from soil science. My first degree was in soil science, Faculty of Agriculture. And if you are in the Faculty of Agriculture on OAU campus, from your 100 level to 400 level, you are going to do the same thing. Either you are agric economics or agric extension or even agric engineering. I don't know what I want to do with engineering. But you know what happened? I saw how a lecturer, a doctor of cow, does not even understand anything about cow. The only thing he can do for us is to dictate. How somebody that pride himself as a doctor in fishery, aquatic life, don't have fish pond. You know, all it takes is to bring some farmers into us. Let the farmers, and I can tell you, I spent a whole year in farm. My 400 level was in the school farm, OAU farm. And we did not raise one fish, not a single pond on the farm. Now, what do you think of me? Don't you think when I go out, I'll be looking for a job in the banks? The reason is because the system did not wire me to be a farmer, to get into agriculture, to make me become possibly agricultural consultant, to let me see the rural farmers and to be able to administer things to them that will make their crops, that will preserve their crops, that will increase them, that will do a lot of stuff to that.
Yeah.
So an agricultural engineering graduate is working in Procter & Gamble. How can you marry that? To the questions, sir, the system of education that we have needs to come from outside in. It's not supposed to be inside out. We need to go and look at what the environment needs, and then we need to adjust what is going on in the campuses. Let's shift this thing. Thank you. Let's bring the technocrats. Let's bring them. Yes. You know, our lecturers, we know that they've studied, and nobody is taking their pay from them. Nobody is taking their jobs from them. But as they are doing theirs, let's give space for the practical work. Let Oral B Research Center. Let them visit our science laboratories. Let us stop inviting Ministry of Education people to come and assess science lab in secondary school. Let us bring Procter & Gamble Research Institute. Let one or two people come and check our lab. Is it okay? Can we produce technical people? I mean, when you look at the likes of Isaac Newton, Benjamin Franklin, the likes of these guys that came up with so many, Thomas Edison, you discover that they didn't go to university. These were guys that just focused on the technical aspect. They had their laboratory and they were churning out things that really changed their life forever. So what are we saying there?
Thank you, Mr. Wale. I'm actually enjoying the discussion, but I've been alerted that we are actually running out of time, which is quite sad. Yeah, but I'm actually enjoying the discussion. So I'm just going to take a final word, 1 minute from each of you. I'll start with Sheyi. I just need you in 60 seconds. Can you just, talk to our young minds out there? Okay, these are the platform, these are the technology, these are the resources, these are opportunities you can leverage on, you can take advantage on to bridge your knowledge gap, to improve yourself, and for you to lay a good foundation educational wise, so that by the time you are out there, you will be able to, because you can't, what we have learned from, especially when Jeremy was taking the session, you can't give what you don't have. It's the value that you have that you can give. So I would like you just to give just a minute. We'll round off. Yeah. Okay. I've been told we can have 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, and just talk on that. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone for joining this, and be able to give any advice in education. If my experience as mentioned is that the most important form of education is self-education. And then about strengthening about the things
Shay, I think can you increase your volume if you don't mind? Yeah.
better.
Yeah, it's better now.
I was saying that the one advice I would like us to have in education, education is the more of yourself, strengths and about your people are just places where they shouldn't have. Their personality is not wired for that. Their traits, their drive is not wired for that, and then they look like failures. No people had first class in engineering courses perform terribly if they were in different places because they were just yet the new people who were in humanity, they've been something else without God bless them. So I think I need one thing to just let yourself. I don't think anybody's personality is more than take all the personality tests you can from all the countries. Keep learning about yourself. Put of the effort on learning about yourself. And effort on learning about you want to take away. Don't think now things about yourself. You learn about yourself, about people, kind of things that next things to be the opportunities that match it. And talking about things like leverage, I'll talk about that and then positive and reach out. For me, the best one is look at someone that like what you want to become and get close to volunteer to be PA, volunteer to something, just be close to that learning in the world is mentorship. That's why private tutoring is a lot more effective than classroom because the best of learning happens best form of learning is personalized. So find somebody that you really admire that you want to become. Take a year, even if you're already on a career path and you think that you can change. Take a year off and go for somebody for an organization, volunteer to secretary. If you can afford to volunteer, of course, volunteer and just be on that. The second option, of course, is that when you've learned your learning gaps, take advantage of all the learning resources. The university are valuable, but see, a lot of our foreign universities have their products out there. Harvard has some of their courses. MIT has those courses, like this. As much as you want to consume, there's no one industry that you want to learn something from. You know, learn resources online, on YouTube, or on everywhere you really want to go to. I definitely your house and find a network. Then that's learning up that.
All right, Shay. Sorry. I'm getting a feedback that some of our people can hardly hear you. I don't know why the reception is that. Uh,
Are you able?
yes, I can hear you, but I don't know. I'm also having a blurry sound. I don't know whether it's from your hand or mine.
Maybe
You
your
can't
side
hear.
is good. I think Shay, you need to check your side.
Okay.
Oh, I can't. Okay. You're muted now. Let me unmute you. Sorry.
Dead now. Can anyone?
Wow. We. I'm still hearing the blurry noise. Uh. Okay. Because we're running out of time already. Let me give the floor to Mr. Wale. Sorry, Mr. Wale, I might need to seek your indulgence to do just a minute for us.
No
Just
problem, no problem, sir.
yeah, just give us your take on opportunities that our young people can take advantage of to help
Oh, okay.
solidify their education. Yep.
I would say that mentorship, just like what she was trying to talk
Yeah, yeah,
about and
yeah,
the
yeah,
sound
yeah.
mentor, I would
Yeah.
say mentorship is the key thing now.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Shay mentioned
Mentorship.
that. Yep.
Um, it's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate that a lot of young people today are now taking models from elsewhere. You have a lot of Malians, you have a lot of people that really wants to fashion their life and a lot of things around, and we can see. But what I'm going to say is that please, as a young man, don't your mentor should not just be about self-improvement. Mentorship should not just be about self-improvement. Mentorship also needs to be about professional part, your career path. We see that happening in organizations. You see that in certain banks and in some companies, they put some officers, they put them under some mentors, executive directors
Yeah. Yep.
in the technical work because a mentor is needed. Because that is very, very important. So a mentor, if you want to be a farmer, I believe that you need to look for someone to mentor you in that. Who
Yeah.
is walking the path? If you want to be a real estate mogul, you want to be a real estate person, you need to understudy, but much more than understudying, you need to get close and understand mentorship. So I believe that the opportunities will be opened up to you because that's the best form of education that you need. You want to be whatsoever you want to be. I believe that some people are already walking that path. So it is better for you to align yourself. Don't feel too pompous. Don't feel, yes, I can do it. No, align yourself. If it takes volunteering, please do that. If it takes you working under this person for a time, please do that. When you are doing that, you'll be exposed to opportunities, you'll be exposed to different options. You will know what the person is not even doing well so that you can actually upgrade from that. I believe that that's the thing that we need right now.
All
Mentorship
right.
in professional development.
Thank you very much, Wally. Also, thank you very much, Shay. I appreciate the time. It's been well spent. I enjoyed the discussion so much. I wish we could continue, but for the fact that we are limited by time and we just have to keep to time and get on to the next session. I can't see any questions in the chat box, but I believe that if questions come in much later, we can always reach out to you via emails and hopefully we'll get responses. So once again, on behalf of GMM community and everyone, the convener, I want to appreciate you for taking out time out of your busy schedule to be on this call. God bless you. God bless you so much. So that brings us to the end of this session on education. We'll go on a very short break and we'll go to session 3. Thank you very, very much. Stay tuned.
Toby, for that amazing session, and a big thanks to all our speakers, Wale Adejuigbe and Olushi Adelade. Amazing moment, amazing moment, amazing moment. Due to our time constraint, we'll probably go to the next session now. And we have an amazing speaker here. So in today's session, we'll be looking at quickly a topic on cultivating a strong personal growth and brand. I think one of the challenges we have, especially in this digital world, is being able to package yourself, being able to have that right structure in having a good branding style to be able to grow your business, to be able to grow yourself and in your career. And so we have on board, we have to take this session, we have Afolabi Shwaga is going to introduce the speaker. Interestingly, we have a speaker on ground already to actually take us that session. So I will call on Afolabi Shwaga to take on this session. Okay, I think, all right. I'll wait for that. Let me just do a quick introduction of our key speaker that we have here. Just a minute, please. So, all right. So we have a speaker here. His name is Michael Woma. Is someone of great impact and done a great things in times. So Miracle Woma is a dynamic speaker, author, is a clinical psychologist and a life coach. He has a strong passion in areas of relationship management, behavioral change, family life, and mental health. He's an experienced and certified family life professional. A graduate of psychology from Nnamdi Azikiwe University and a master's degree holder in clinical psychology from the University of Lagos. A Miracle is the principal consultant of Life Affairs International, a consulting firm set out to raise model families and psychological stable individuals. Life Affairs is involved in training, coaching, and therapy, counseling with individuals and organizations across the country. It runs several online platforms where it coaches individuals and organizations and is a columnist in the Inside Ajeromi newspaper, Giant Wood magazine, 19 magazine, Ajegunle Business Reports, amongst others. Is a mentor to many people, a friend to most, and prodigy to few. Let's welcome on board Miracle Woma. Good afternoon, Miracle. Miracle, can you hear me, please? Can you kindly signify on the chat box? Hello, Miracle. Miracle, can you just signify on the chat box, please? Okay, I think we lost touch of Miracle over there. We'll take a brief short break now and we'll be back shortly. Thank you.
Hi, Miracle.
Hi.
Hi,
This
good afternoon.
afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good to see you.
Same
Thank
here.
you
Same here.
for joining.
Yeah.
So I think we can just start. So we have a couple of questions that we would like you to just sort of address. And I'll just run those questions by you quickly. I think we're very pressed for time. The next session is supposed to have started by now, but we'll just run
Yeah.
through this one. All right, beautiful.
Sorry.
All right,
Yeah.
so Miracle, you're supposed to speak on personal branding,
Yeah.
and how to basically just grow your personal self as an individual. So basically, let's just start with um, a very broad question. What is a personal brand to you? What does it mean? I mean, what does personal brand mean in that sense? Let's start by sort of establishing an understanding of what it means before we start talking about how we can build one.
All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you for bringing me on board. Right. And I really like what's going on here. And I trust that a lot of learnings have been going on. So I'm excited to be here. Okay. Then what the first question there is, what is the personal brand to me? In the simplest form, I would say that the personal brand is simply what you are known for, right? Because if I call Bill Gates, what comes to your mind is Microsoft. If I call Mark Zuckerberg, what comes to your mind is Facebook. If I call Anthony Robbins, what comes to your mind is linguistic programming, psychology. If I call Donald Trump, what comes to your mind is an entrepreneur, a politician now, right? If I call your name, what comes to the minds of people, right? Whatever comes to the minds of people is your personal brand. If nothing comes to their mind, it means that you don't have a brand yet. Yeah. So really, your personal brand is what do you stand for? What have you been known for? Right? That you have built over time. That's what I think personal brand is.
All right, fantastic, amazing. Thank you very much for that. And that leads me to a follow-up question to say that, I mean, you mentioned several names. You mentioned Donald Trump, you mentioned Mark Zuckerberg. There's just so many things that one can be, So, I mean, looking at how you have just so many options out there. So, I mean, the space seems to be crowded. So, how does one sort of craft a personal brand for oneself? How do I choose a brand? How do I build a brand? How do I even know what brand I should, sort of create for myself? I mean, there's several examples. Do I become a Donald Trump, or do I become a Mark Zuckerberg, or do I become an Elon Musk? So how do I find the one that fits and the one that I'm supposed to sort of be?
All right, that's a lot of question um, crammed into one. I think the place to start from is to get to first of all discover the brand you want to build for yourself, like you rightly said. So that's where it starts from. Because I tell people that you cannot be outstanding where you are not standing. For you to be outstanding in something, you have to be standing somewhere in the first place. So it means that you have to first of all discover your place, right, or the brand you want to build, right. And in doing that, I have what is called the happy model. The happy model stands for, it's an acronym, using the word happy, that stands for where H stands for heart, A stands for ability, the first P stands for personality, the other one for passion, the Y stands for yesterday. That's a whole course on its own, but we can start right here. But of course, I don't want to bore you with all of that. But the general question I want to ask yourself is, what makes me happy, right? What do I get excited doing, right? If I get excited doing this, maybe that's where I should be, because where you find excitement, because even in the workplace, there's what is called the flow, right? You get to a point where you are working on something and you hit what is called the flow. The flow is where you are excited doing a particular work, right? That is, if you are doing anything and you get to that point where you are excited doing it, where there's a rush of of happy hormones and all of that, maybe that's where you should be. So I think that's where everyone needs to start from, to say, okay, let me choose a brand for myself, and in choosing that, I need to be sure what makes me happy, what does my heart seek for, right? But that's the hate. What does my heart tick for? What does my heart tell me I should be doing, right? I told people that before I started what I'm doing right now, I was doing a lot of other things because I am somebody who you could term as multi-talented. And I'm sure that there are a few persons who listen to me right now who are in that category, right? Who are multi-talented and then you're confused. I can do this, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. But each time when I was doing those things I was doing, I wasn't happy doing them. Each time I saw somebody doing what I'm doing right now, my heart told me that this is what you should be doing. But each time I saw somebody speaking on radio or TV and all of that, or in a seminar or something, my heart kept telling me that you could do what this person is doing, right? So that's where the hate starts from, their abilities. So what are your abilities? You need to be able to know that. Then your passion is what you hate and what you love, right? Because just like Mike Murdoch said, what you hate is a pointer to what you are created to correct. So you need to know exactly what exasperates you, right? And that's why passion is different for different people. So what is passionate for me might not be passionate for you. And that's why, it might look like people don't even understand your passion. So for instance, somebody who is passionate about cleanliness might come to an environment and then be angry that everywhere is dirty. But if that's not a passion for me, I might not be angry. I might not be happy that the place is dirty, but I might not really be exasperated, So sometimes it can be confusing because I might get to now tell the person, come on, why are you this? Why are you overreacting? Not knowing that the person is overreacting because that's his person's passion, right? Then personality, of course, there's a link to personality and your one and what you're supposed to be doing. And then yesterday has to do with going back memory lane. There are two areas of memory of yesterday as well. Going back memory lane, one, and the second one there is also looking at your past experiences, right? Because your past is actually taking you to your future, right? So it's very, very important. Then after you've discovered your brand, the next thing you want to do is now create a superior content, right? I've discovered my brand, but I need to have a cutting edge, okay? Most likely, there is nothing new under the sun. So most likely, whatever it is you're doing, somebody has done, somebody's doing, and somebody will do. But what special thing are you bringing to the market? What special thing are you going to, what's your silver lining? What are you going to do differently, right? And that's where content comes into play. So you need to build a lot of content. You need to build solid content, great content, something that people don't have anywhere. Because the truth is that if you go into the market, when I say market now, I'm talking about any industry of any kind. So if you go into an industry, go into the market with things like, oh, you're trying to cut price, make your product or service cheaper than others, or you're trying to, if you're doing all of those things, then you are actually going about building your brand the wrong way, right? Because when others also reduce their price, it means that you also have to reduce your price and all of that. But what will stand you out in the market is something. So you have to be what we call a monopoly, right? You have to have a content that nobody else has, right? So you have to just look for that silver lining, and that has to do with building superior content. And afterwards, you need to also learn the process. I feel you need to learn the process through mentorship, through mentoring. Like I said, nothing new under the sun. Well, there's nothing you want to do that others have not done, others are not doing, and others will not do. So if there's somebody doing it, then you have to be able to look out for that person or that group of people and learn from them and know exactly, how to do it. And afterwards, you need to now show up. You need to show up. You need to show up. A lot of people, the reason why they haven't built any brand is because they are waiting for too long. They have been building content for years. They have been learning for years. They have discovered their place, but they have refused to show up. It is who shows up that gets the deal. Very important. Somebody said that the first key to success is showing up, just showing up, right? That's why there are a lot of us, and I'm in that space sometimes where I look at people who doing certain things, and I'm like, I have superior content, right? I can do better than this guy, right? But why am I not doing it? Because I haven't showed up. That guy showed up, right, in his capacity, is right, and that's why he's getting it done, right? So you could complain all you want, you could cry all you want, but if you don't show up, nobody's going to see you, and if nobody sees you, nobody's going to give you the deal. Nobody gives you the deal, you are not going to build any brand. It's very important. And when you show up, lastly, you have to be consistent. Consistency is very important in the game.
All right, thank you. That was a lot said in one I don't know. But basically, I want us to bring it a little bit back home, right? This time around, and let's personalize all this that you shared. Talk about the API model. So for you, what would you say is your personal brand, and how have you gone about that journey of building that personal brand called Miracle today?
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, when you mention miracle, and because another thing that you must mention is that you must note is that you must be very deliberate when building a brand. You must be very very deliberate, right? Very very deliberate. Some time ago, I might not even have accepted to come speak about this, right? Because I was intentionally building my name around something. Right? I wanted people to know me for something, right? And not just for everything, right? Because it is one thing to know that, okay, I'm born to be a speaker, right? It's another thing to now discover what area am I going to focus on, right? So if you mention miracle right now, not more than three things will come to the mind of people. Number one thing that will come to the mind of people is family life and relationships. Number two thing that will come to the minds of people is psychology, behavioral change. And of course, even the third one I was going to mention, like mental health, is still, within that jurisdiction. That is all you are going to know about. That's all most likely is going to come to the minds of people if you mention miracle, right? So it is very important, and this has taken me quite a number of years to actually build. I've been very intentional about it. I've done, for instance, a lot of series of stuff online or Facebook, even the days of BBM, where I just focused particularly on relationships, right? And that was very deliberate, right? I didn't talk about any other thing. So for years, over 3 years, all I was talking about was relationships, and that sent a signal, because one thing you must know is that as a person, you are sending signals, you are emitting signals, right? And those signals accuse people would pick and then make certain judgments and conclusions about you. So I've been very deliberate about that. I've been very deliberate about my personal development in building my content, right? But it's very, very, very important. I remember that many years ago, and I still do that now. I developed a personal development timetable, a timetable that covers for my personal development, right? Where I have a timetable of what I'm supposed to do every other day of the week that is geared towards my personal development, because I knew that I was going somewhere. And that's very important, that you need to be visionary. You need to know exactly what you want to achieve. You need to know exactly where you are going, right? In my field, for instance, I have a goal to become among the top 10% in a number of years. And I'm very deliberate about that. That is what is driving me. That is what is driving my personal development and the passion with which I'm pursuing what it is I'm pursuing. And that's why if there is no vision, people will run helter-skelter. They would not know exactly what they need to do, and they would not be disciplined to do so, right? So it is very important that you have a plan for your personal development and pursue that plan, right? Create the right environment around you. Look for people who would be your network that would energize you in the pursuit of your goals and your vision, right? It's very, very important that you do that, because there are times where you might be discouraged and things like that. But if you have a good network of people around you, friends, mentors, who would always energize you and then fire you up, then you just keep moving. So it is very important for you to create that atmosphere around your personal brand.
All right, fantastic, great stuff. So I was told that, or I've just been informed that the other panelist for this session, Mr. Vincent Adeoba, who is a tax consultant with PwC and the founder of Sarah Vision Brooks, is also available. Can you hear me, Mr. Vincent? All right, I'm not sure he's ready to start. So I'll just go back to you. So in Miracle, you've said so many things, and I mean, you painted a picture of always on the move, always doing this, always doing that, always pushing and pressing towards this dream and this goal that we have. So the question is, does this journey ever stop when it comes to personal development and growth? Is there an end to this journey, or is it something that we intend to do till that kingdom come?
Well, the journey of personal development is, like you said, an unending journey, right? I call it continuous personal development, right? So CPD, so it has to be continuous, right? It has to be consistent. So you always have to keep developing yourself. John C. Maxwell, for instance, says that he still reads about 4 books per month. And I'm wondering, what else is this man wanting to learn? John C. Maxwell, the leadership mentor. What was he learning? Was it Anthony Robbins, for instance, reads a lot of books. Every month you hear that people like Bill Gates and the rest, Bill Gates has a personal development plan. He has a mentor, the person of Warren Buffett. He has books that he's reading per time. So a lot of these guys keep improving themselves and keep, so many times I ask myself, so if these guys are learning this much, who am I not to? What have I achieved? Where have I got into? I haven't really gotten anywhere for me to now say that, okay, I can relax and do all of that. You have to just keep showing up. You have to just keep learning. You have to just keep developing yourself and be constantly developing your brand, right? I think it was Ten that said, Dangote still they find money. Dangote, the richest man in Nigeria, the richest man in Africa, still find money. What does he want to do with the extra money, right? So that just gives you a drive and gives you a sense of purpose to say that you must be consistent in what you're doing. You must keep pushing. You must keep learning, and you must keep showing up. Right? Is an unending journey. Right? You take your last breath till death do you part. You must keep developing yourself, and you must keep showing up out there. Right? It was somebody who said that day you stop learning, you start dying. Right? Another person said the day you stop learning, you are old. You are old, whether you are 80 or 20. Right? So it's very important that we note that this is a journey of a lifetime. Yeah, that's why you are here in the first place, anyway.
Fantastic, amazing, and this might just be my last question, as we do not have any questions from the house, and it's a follow up to the most recent one I just asked you. I'm talking about the fact that this journey never ends. But how then do we manage the burnout that comes with it? Because sometimes people get tired. I mean, people get tired, and I'm sure in your own experience and your own journey, there have been times when you just didn't feel like reading that book, you didn't feel like going for that training, you just wanted to relax and be taken care of in that sense. So how then do we sort of, how then do we sort of, just manage, ourselves and our emotions, our health, how do we manage all of that, in the face of a burnout, in the face of you just getting tired? Sometimes it's not even just you burning out. Sometimes it's you doing all of that and not really seeing the results that you want, or the results not coming as fast as you want, and then and then discouragement sets in, and then you're just tired, really, and you just want to give up. So what would you say? How do we manage that when we get to that point, our breaking point? What do we do? What do we turn to?
All right, all right. Thank you very much for asking that question. It's a very important one. In all of this, the truth is that the road is not always going to be smooth. In your journey of personal development, your journey of building personal brand, you face upheavals, you have stumbling blocks. It's normal, right? Everybody's going through a problem right now. It's either going through a problem right now, it's about to go into one, or it's just coming out of one. Everybody falls into one of these 3 categories. So it's normal for you to face, if you have issues, feel tired, feel fatigued, like, oh, come on, can I just take a break? And sometimes take that break, okay? Take that break, take a step back, refresh, rejuvenate, go for a retreat, laze around. Sometimes it's good, especially if you put in so much work. Laze around. There are days I laze around, man. I just laze around. I'm just sleeping. I wake up, I'm playing games, I'm just chatting and enjoying myself. There are days like that, right? Of course, that can be your lifestyle, but there are days like that where you have to just relax, right? And be taken care of, like you said, right? So it is very important that you do that. And sometimes in the journey, you might need to talk to someone, and that's why you must have healthy relationships. Healthy relationships are a great asset in your journey of personal development, and your journey of building a personal brand, because there are many times you will need to talk to people, right? Many times people show, for instance, I'm here right now, I'm speaking to you, I look like, oh, this guy has it all put together, but that's not true. I have my issues and things like that, but then I have people I talk to. I have people I'm vulnerable with, right? There are people that I can call right now and cry on their shoulders, right? So for instance, I just lost my dad, right? There are people I cried when they called me or when I called them. I was just vulnerable with them, and I just spoke about the pain and all of that, right? I can't be like that with everybody, but there are a few people I'm like that with, right? So it's very important that you have those people, 1, 2, 3 people like that in your life that you can be completely vulnerable with, right? It's very, very important. And sometimes, it gets to a point where you even need to seek professional help, right? You just need to talk to a professional to help you through the process. I know that we are very far behind when it comes to mental health and things like that in Nigeria and Africa, but we need to start embracing it, right? To start talking to professionals. And a lot of the times when people have issues, the first place they're going to is talk to a spiritual leader, even though the situation or the problem might not be spiritual. It might just be something psychological, right, that you need to work on. So you need to start embracing the fact that your professionals who have been trained to help you with things like that, right? So it's very, 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 very important that we do that. So sometimes take that break, and many times you also want to go back and then re-strategize, right? It's very important. So when the going gets tough, sometimes the tough does not get going. Sometimes the tough stops, relaxes, right, and then re-strategizes. What other way? What other option, right? That's how people succeed. People don't just succeed by being persistent, like we've been taught. No, sometimes you have to take a pause and then re-strategize. Your strategy might be wrong. That might be the problem. It might not be your efforts. It might be your strategy, right? So you want to calm down, re-strategize, and then push again. So it's very important that we put all of this together in our journey of personal development and building personal brand. Yeah.
All right, thank you. That was supposed to be my last question, but another question came in from Adigoke, and he's saying, thank you very much, Miracle. And it's very similar to how you handled this last question. So he says, my question is, at that time, if you feel like changing your personal brand, what are the steps one needs to take at such time? So you talked about the need to re-strategize. So sometimes that new strategy might be, going a different path entirely, starting a new journey. So is that an option, and how do you go about that? How do you start again in that sense?
Of course, no matter how long you've been taking the wrong route, you can never get to the right destination, no matter how long. So there are times where the re-strategizing has to do with totally changing your route. To say, okay, I've been here for too long. Like I said, for instance, I was in an industry for a long time that I wasn't supposed to, that wasn't built for, that wasn't created for, right? I had to sit down and then tell myself the bitter truth, and then I re-strategized. And then, of course, many times you could be a king in an industry, but by the time you're switching industries, you also need to start, you know that, you need to start learning the ropes all over again because this is a new setting, right? So you need to understand that might be a step you need to take to say, okay, I need to re-strategize, I need to change route. So you take a step back and then do that. But you need to get guidance, to get mentorship, right? Get advice from people. Be sure that you are making an informed decision and it's not just an emotional one or a biased one. Make sure that your decision is well informed, and then you're taking it from a place of clarity. Make sure that you are taking that decision from a place of clarity. It's very, very important. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Miracle. I think that will be all. Thank you so much. That was a really, really amazing session. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have more questions for Miracle that we can't take today, you can always just reach out to you. If you want to reach out to you, how do we get across to you? If you have other questions we want to.
All right, Miracle in Homa is my name on Instagram. At Miracle in Homa is my name on Instagram. So you can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm not sure. I think my friend list is full. But on Instagram, you can follow me Miracle in Homa. On Twitter too at Inhoma Miracle. You just reversed Inhoma Miracle on Instagram. It's Miracle Inhoma. Yeah, so you can connect with me and then we take it from there.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. So we'll take a short break. When we return, Toby Loba will be coming back to moderate the final session. So over to you, Femi.
Okay, thank you so much, Miracle, for that amazing session. It was an impactful session. I did learn a couple of things from you. Thank you so much for taking it from the place of personal development and making us realize what we need to do. Thank you so much. So quickly now, we have our speakers for the last session, the on ground, but we will quickly take a short break and just 1 minute short break, and we'll be back. Thank you. Okay. All right. So let's quickly um, we have a slight glitch there. So let's quickly go to the last session that we have for today. I will quickly going to give the mic to Toby Jayoba to handle the session quickly. We have a speaker. Uh, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. I want a moderator to be able to do justice to that. So Toby, you have the floor.
All right, thank you, Femi. Okay, once again, good afternoon, everyone. This is Oluwatobi Jayoba once again, and I'm honored to moderate this last session that's going to be focused on entrepreneurship. And we already have our speakers ready and set. I'll be introducing them one after the other, in no particular order. So we have Bade Adeshim Ad- Adeshemowo. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but he's the CTO and co-founder of Social Lender. I can see his video on. So, sir, you need to correct me on the pronunciation. Yeah.
Good afternoon. It's actually Adeshemowo.
Okay, Adeshemowo. Very, very sorry about that. You're welcome, sir. Yeah, you're welcome, sir. And we also have another wonderful person as our panelist for this session. We have Fumi Omoyele. Fumi Omoyele is the CEO, PEC Events and Balloons Limited, Nigeria. Um, Fumi, can you say hi to the entire house?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
My name is Fumi Omoyele.
Oh, great. Great to have you for this session. So,
Mr. Bade.
oh, great, great, great. So, without much ado, I'll start with you, Fumi. Can you just uh, tell us about yourself and what you do at PEC Events Limited, Nigeria?
Okay, hi, everyone. My name is Fumi Omoyele. I'm the managing director at PEC Events. PEC is majorly into creating experiences, preserving timeless memories through creative expressions, using balloons majorly as a creative tool.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's great. That's great. All right. So I'll move quickly to Bade. So, sir, you have the floor. Just tell us about yourself and what you do at Social and yep. Okay.
Thank you for unmuting me. Good
Yes.
afternoon, everybody. So yeah, my name is Badi Adeshamowo. I'm CTO and co-founder for Social Lender. Social Lender is a technology startup. What we do is we help banks and other financial institutions give financial services to people based on what we call social reputation. We've been building that for a bit of time now, and it's doing very well, especially in Nigeria and also in South Africa. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was precise and concise. Thank you very much. So let's go straight to the crux of the matter. We are dealing with a topic: entrepreneurship mindset, scaling your ideas for what has been envisioned in the mind into real businesses. So we already have some preset questions for our panelists, Bade and Femi, and they'll be helping us address those questions and more if they should come in the chat box. So let me start with Bade. So who is an entrepreneur? Will you describe an entrepreneur? Sorry, I remember then in elementary school, then we were taught the factors of production in economics. And then we were taught 4 factors. And there was one special one because it's the factor that organizes the other 4 factors of production. Who is the entrepreneur? So, but from your own standpoint, who is an entrepreneur? Yep.
So I mean, there's a dictionary definition that says someone that starts a business, but I would say an entrepreneur is a risk taker, because that's literally what an entrepreneur does. You set out, you don't have a guarantee that what it is that you set out to do is going to succeed. You believe it will, you hope it will, but really what you're doing is taking a risk to explore that. In some cases, it may fail, but in many cases, you are rewarded handsomely, sometimes with profit, but definitely with experience. So I would say an entrepreneur is a risk taker.
Oh, the risk taker. All right, thank you for that. And let's apply your definition to what you actually do at Social Lender. So, for how long have you been? Have you set up Social Lender, and how has risk taking been for you?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur for a much longer time. Social Lender is relatively young, just about 5 years. But I've actually been an entrepreneur since when I came out of university, which was about 2006. That's about how many years now? 14 years ago, or thereabout. Right? How has it been? Lots of ups and downs, but more ups than downs. And even though you can probably draw some sort of call, that trajectory for that call is literally going upward. We are not where we used to be. We are not where we want to be, but we're doing well and we're growing. And so that's exciting for us. So yes, it's turning out well, but there has been no time. When I was telling someone I was going to be speaking here today, something that I mentioned was a lot of times we don't talk about the bad part, right? And so that's why I needed to put that in, that there has definitely been low times, but many more ups than downs. So yeah, doing very well.
All right, all right. Thank you for that quick response. So I'll be moving on to Fumi. Yes, this is actually for you. So one thing, yeah. So one thing that gives worries to people who are trying to get into a new business, a new terrain, is the competition. All right, especially if it's filled with a lot of players already before venturing into that. So I want to ask, as an entrepreneur, as a new entrepreneur in a particular business space, what can you do to address the pressure from the competitors, especially if it's fierce, And in order to get to the top, I would want you to also use your own entrepreneurial experience with your PEC events business. So can you help us with that? Yep.
Okay, thank you for the question. First off, I must say that a business is not primarily set up because of competitors. Right.
Yep.
Right. So we cannot run with, we cannot start a race with, there's a possibility that I'll be put out of the game, you know. But then one of the things that is important as an entrepreneur that you must have the passion. You must be energetic. You must be convinced about what you're doing. There are certain, you must be ability to set goals,
Okay.
ability to not fear, because don't fear failure generally is what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
and then take risk. Mr. Bade said something earlier that an entrepreneur really is one that has the ability to take risk, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of the things that you must actually be keen on, right? And then don't settle for less than the best. You must be ready to go all head on. Don't give up, right? There might be highs, there might be lows or middle grounds, but then do not give up. Continue on the journey, and then fail often, fail fast, fail forward. It's part of the journey to fail, right? It's part of the journey to cave in. It's part of the journey to have entrepreneurs, to have competitors. But then we cannot start out on a journey with the fear that our competitors are going to outbeat us at this race, right? But then set up a business with strong determination to succeed, right? You cannot, as an entrepreneur, fear others and then give up so fast, right? So with determination, I believe that you would even be able to outbeat your competitors.
All right. So we should fear. I like that determination. Do not be afraid to fail. Yeah. But I want you to maybe share with us one or two stories, with your own experience when you were trying to set up PEC events, and
Okay.
what were the challenges you faced? And did you face any challenge in terms of competition that someone who is listening can maybe learn from and adapt to his or her own business space? Yep.
Okay. So first, I would say again, when I started out, I didn't start out with, someone is in there to beat me out of this. No, I'm not even sure I saw anybody.
Oh.
Right. And one of the things that's really important is before you start out any business, whoever is listening, right, you must know why you're doing what you're doing. Right. So you don't stumble on a business and maybe call it a side hustle or call it whatever it is that we call it. Right. But then you actually know why you're doing what you're doing. And then you come up with a great idea, with a phenomenal idea. You come up with your plans, your or everything that you come up with, and then it's not about anybody else, right? So for me, it was my journey, right? I started out as an event planner, and then decoration, and then found a niche with balloons, right? And then being able to express creativity, excellence through the use of balloons. And then it's been a phenomenal journey. I'm not even sure we have any competitors that I can point out and say this person is doing exactly what we're doing. Right? Why? Because we actually create our own markets. We create our own ideas. We're in this for the long haul, irrespective of what any other person is doing.
Thank you very, very much. So I'll switch to Badi right now. I'm going to be asking the same question, but more specific to your challenges generally that you faced in your entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial journey. even before you set up a social lender. So I would love you to share real life experiences and how you were able to overcome. What were the driving force behind you, getting traction at the end of the day? And uh, okay, you're
So
muted now. Yep.
my channel was going off and on. Were you asking about competition?
Yeah, no. I'm now just focusing on the challenges entrepreneurs face generally in
Oh, I see.
setting up and in their journey to get into the promised land. So I
Oh, I
would
see.
love you to give us practical experiences, past experiences in your entrepreneurial journey. Uh, uh,
Okay.
yeah, as to challenges you
So
faced and how you dealt with them. Yep.
okay. So I'll talk about a few challenges. The first one would be staffing issues, and this
Okay.
is the reason. When you start out, a lot of times, depending on what you do, really, but most of the things you do when you start out is probably just you and maybe an assistant or maybe two assistants or thereabout.
Yep.
And at that point, you're generally fine because you can do every single thing by yourself. You can you can do everything that your business requires. I'm trying not to be specific about any specific business as of right now. Then you grow
Okay.
to about 10 people. At that point, you're expecting some people to be able to handle specific things, different aspects of what it is that your business does. In our own case, we do software development, one of our businesses, and so on. But at that point, you'll start seeing some challenges. One of them is staffing issues. And that issue is simply that some of the people that you end up hiring may not be skilled enough, may not be experienced enough, and certainly may not do things the way you would have done it. That poses a
Yes.
problem because your
Yeah.
clients are expecting results. Your clients are expecting quality. As an entrepreneur, you manage two key things. You manage the quality, you manage the client.
Yep.
Everything else you can outsource, really, right? But those two
Yeah.
things you cannot because that is your own core business. You must own the client, you must own the quality. But
Yep.
then if you are now trying to scale to a point where, oh, I don't have to do some things, that then poses a challenge, especially in Nigeria, because of our work culture, because of our work ethic, and all of that. It causes that specific problem. I would also say a second one, which is slightly related, but it's really different, is the case of overgrowing. And we had that with the business we had, where we were growing very fast, and then what we did was we hired more staff. We hired more developers, we had more project managers, we had more business development. But there was a problem with that because we were trying to grow fast, but we were realizing that quality was dropping
Oh.
because you as the entrepreneur, you are not able to focus on each and every single client, each and every single process, each and every single thing that needs to happen. You find out that people did not do the things they were supposed to do, how they were supposed to do it. Sometimes not because they were being malicious. Sometimes it was just a case of they didn't know, right? And but in some cases, it's a case of laziness. It's a case of you call yourself an expert, but really you are not. And so overgrowing causes a problem because for us, we grew by referrals. We grew by people seeing us doing a project and then they refer to other people, right? And then if you start doing stuff that are either crappy or low quality or the time it takes to deliver the quality the client wanted, is not you don't achieve in terms of the time, then you still have the same problem because the client will not refer you to someone else. And that was a challenge that we had as well. So I would just talk about those two. Staffing, specifically in Nigeria, because our work culture is very poor, right? And then you need to also be careful about growing too fast. Yes, there will be many opportunities, but over time, you may need to start learning to say no to some. I hope that
Okay.
helps.
Yeah. Thank you very much, buddy. Thank you for that. Um, I'll move on to Fumi again. Um, Eh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we would see that for a lot of businesses. Okay. Let me paint a scenario. I'm sure if we compare the numbers of businesses, business names that have been registered with CAC to actual active businesses in Nigeria, I'm sure the ratio will be very small. In the sense that we'll have, when we look at the ratio, we have very small active businesses compared to the registered businesses, and maybe that's because some businesses started off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years after, boom, they packed up, So what do you think is responsible for businesses not thriving beyond the initial years of establishment, such that we just have a lot of business names, we don't have active businesses creating value for people? What do you think is happening to the entrepreneurs of this or to the founders of those businesses, and how can we avoid such happening? Yeah,
Okay.
as an entrepreneur. Yep.
Great. So there's this statistics done by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, right? And then the clearly just says that in the first year of a business, about 20% of new businesses fail. By the second year, about 30%. By the fifth year, about 45-50%. And then in the 10th year of that business, you have about 65 to 70%. Now, why do these businesses fail? Number one, lack of planning. Businesses fail because the entrepreneur's role to be able to define short-term and long-term goals, right? So if I could wake up in the morning and say, okay, so I'm going to start a business today because ABCD started a business. So I'm not going to my drawing board. I've not drawn my business models. I've not done anything, right? So I have no plan. I just set out to start a business. Of course, you're going to fail, right? But then if you have done your homework, even before you launch, there's a very high possibility that you're going to succeed at least for the first few years, right? And then leadership failure, poor leadership. Almost every business that you see fail around is management, right? Or I'm sure that you probably have seen some businesses as well that have succeeded for a number of years, and then all of a sudden you just wonder, oh, what went wrong? It's management, poor leadership, right? And that's very common around here. And then I've been able to identify your unique selling points, right? What exactly is your business selling? Why did you set up a business? What are you doing differently? What differentiates you from others, even within the same industry? So being able to identify that as well sort of saves you the stress. Ignoring customer needs. Oh, okay, so that one is like very common around here. So one of the things that has worked for us, right? We listen to the market. What do our customers need? So even when we set out to create a product, we're able to sort of listen to, okay, so in creating this product, what do people need with this product? Do we need to tweak it this way? Do we tweak it back this way? What exactly do people need? And then when people give their feedback, when they complain, take notes, all of that. So we have a lot of people that ignore that also leads to, because your customers actually tell you what they want. They're the ones paying, So when they're telling you what they want and you keep ignoring, failure is down the road.
Okay.
All right. So inability to also learn from failure, So there's a lot of factors that we really could consider here as to why businesses fail. Lack of capital sometimes. When a business gets to the point it needs to scale, and then inability to actually get the required capital could also lead to failure sometimes, and premature scaling. So sometimes some entrepreneurs are actually quite emotional about decision making, right? And then we need to really be a little less emotional and actually be very factual, right? So we make decisions based on data. Do we need to, if you need to open a branch in Lekki, in Ikoyi, in BI, wherever, you actually shouldn't be making that decision based on, oh, because Lekki is fine, or because, oh, VI really is just appealing to me. No, you have to be able to go back to your books. Where are your customers? Are your customers in BI? You know, are your customers in Lekki? Do you actually, do you understand? So you have to be able to make pre-informed information, back my data really, and then poor location. So many times, poor location is actually what kills a lot of businesses. Right? So there are some businesses that must be on the highway. Once that business is not on the highway, you're automatically cutting yourself like 60% off customers, so poor location. So being able to sort of identify the location, sort of the lack of profit. We see around here also that a lot of businesses are not making profits. You make a lot of sales, but then the inability to be able to make profit, So cost structure, that's really what it is. So we need to be able to break down what our cost structure is. And what's cost structure really is being able to identify what's the cost of your product, what's the cost of your materials, what's the cost of logistics, what's the cost of your rent, cost of labor, sometimes wages, salaries, everything that comes into cost, and then being able to identify what your profit is, and so also that way you can determine if your business is profitable or not, and then on the long run, if a business is making so much sales without actually being profitable, you're going to close down at the end of the day. So there are quite a number of them, probably about 60, 70 really, if I keep going on. But just in a nutshell, I just mentioned 10 why businesses fail.
Well, thank you so very much. That was quite elaborate. Yeah, getting some revenue optimization, cost minimization model and all that. Well, that's good. I'll switch again to Badin right now. You permit me, like I want to put you on the spot, but a lot of people, when their businesses fail, they can just say, oh, I'm not cut out for business. I'm not, some people believe that entrepreneurs are born. Some people believe that entrepreneurs are made. So what's your take about that?
Well, so I think it's a bit of both. And I'll explain
like
why.
Hybrid.
And I will explain why. Because at different levels of business, what your business needs is different, right? And people set out as an entrepreneur at different stages of also business. You could come in partnership with a couple of friends, and then you guys have a bit of investment and all of that to set out something. At the same time, you could just be the guy that just graduated from university, no capital, no nothing, just grit, and then just set out on your own. That was my own story, right? And so it's not so much about whether you were born, whether in your family there were several entrepreneurs before you, and so it was a natural path for you. Sometimes it may just be something you stumble into, right? Because the truth is, even everyone that works at some point or the other, I like to think of everyone working not just as an employee, but also as an entrepreneur. The only difference is that you get a salary at the end of the month, or whatever compensation your organization is giving you. If you do find an opportunity that does not conflict with your contract with your existing organization, you can decide to set off on your own to say, oh, fine, I want to explore this opportunity, right? Of course, there are many things that you need at that point. You would need some sort of management skill. You will need the technical skill, operational skill to be able to deliver on whatever that business does and so on. So I don't think it's so much a question of whether they are born or they are made. I think it's a question of, are you able to take, going back to what I said earlier, that risk at that point, because there's no safety net in some cases. And so you will just be able to say, oh, do I want to see if this will go somewhere? I would also add that don't also be stuck up to say, oh, I set out to do A and that is all I'm going to do. I'll use examples of large organizations. I'm a techie, so most of my examples will be technology based. I don't know how many of you know, but Twitter actually did not start out as Twitter, right? Twitter, what we know as Twitter today was just a communication tool built by a company that was doing something else. And that communication tool was so successful that then they were able to spin it out as what we know as Twitter today. Instagram, the same thing, right? And what I'm saying is that sometimes set out one thing, right? And I'll use an example, and maybe Fumi may say a bit more about it as well. Fumi as well, right? I mean, she's a personal friend. Set out from, and I think it was event planning, but now they are more focused on balloons, right? Product market is something that you need to find, and sometimes what you have kept out, started doing one, find out the customers, and then you can also take that, make the best, and that is one of the things that because time.
All right, thank you. Buddy, yeah. Although towards the end, it was like I was almost losing you. I guess your volume was just
Oh,
okay.
sorry about
Okay, it's
that. I
better
was just
now.
talking
Yeah.
about project market fit, basically. Product market fit, that's what it's called. For
Okay.
those listening, you can actually Google it. But the key thing I was saying is don't get stuck on the initial idea you set out on. You may end up finding
Okay.
other opportunities that you can move on
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. That's fine. So I'm going to throw this open to the both of you. Anyone can take it in no particular order. So I want to ask, is there, I mean, can you give like a maybe like a step-by-step approach to scaling a business from the idea generation point to a point where we can say, oh, we are having a thriving business? So, I mean, is there like a process one can follow that you can ditch out to us so that someone listening can say, okay, I have this idea, but I don't know how to go about executing. So, either you or Fume can take a shot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd let Mr. Bade go. I mean, take the shot.
Okay. Okay. I thought it was ladies first, but all right. All right, Mr. Buddy. Let me unmute you. Okay.
Uh, Thank you for that. For me, I was hoping you will go first, though. But yeah, let me take a stab at it. So first thing
Okay.
is you need to have a sort of idea or what it is that you want to do, right?
Yep.
What next thing I would say is that before you invest a lot, except maybe what your idea is building a power plant or something that you cannot start small. The next thing I would say is start small. Start with the minimum viable product. So
Oh,
this is
yes.
something that you can literally Google. Start with the minimum amount that you can spend to test that idea, right? To find
Great.
out if that idea can become a product and if that product can become a company.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
in doing so, what you're trying to do is to make sure that you don't end up investing millions of naira on something and find out that it's something else that the market, the public wants, right?
Needs. Yeah.
And so test it out. See if you can sell to your friends. If you want to build a mega application that will do X, you can use WhatsApp or Instagram and so on to try and see if you can sell it first before you now invest millions in building the application, right? Of course,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
depends on what it is that you are trying to do. But my key point here is that have the idea. Next thing you should do is test before you now decide to start a company. Once you've tested and you know that, oh, okay, there's a market here, there's a product here, and there's a fit, then you start your company, right? Of course, at some point during this process, you should have registered the company. In some countries, you need to say what exactly your company does, right? When you are registering. In Nigeria, everybody, not everybody, but many people will just register as what's that? There are some clauses you just use, meaning you can do anything you want to do. Literally, to except some um, engineering based, medical, some of those restricted professions. Those are the only things you won't be able to do. So register the company, and then you start marketing. You start marketing the company. For me, I would think you should get your first client before you start the company, right? Also, depending on what it is that you do, because the easiest way to grow, the cheapest marketing that you can ever do is your customer marketing you. Is your customer saying Badi does IT? If you need something on IT, talk to Badi, right? And that's literally how I do it, right? It's cheap. You don't have to spend any money doing it. You don't have to have any office doing it, right? And then start selling. As you're selling, you want to also start improving. Get your customers' feedback. Understand what you didn't do well. Understand what needs your product did not meet, or even if it's a service, what did you not meet. Understand what else is your customer spending on after they buy your own stuff, because you may want to integrate either vertically or horizontally, but you may want to find out, oh, what else do they need that I can offer or I can offer with this same customer, such that you may have started with just one product or service, you may end up adding another one and so on. As you go, careful, right? As you go, your business grow, you also go by yourself. Now, a lot of mistakes people make in Nigeria is that they feel like they are copying themselves. And the truth is that even in the eye of the company is in the eye of your separate person. Not that you are growing your company, see, think about growing yourself as well. People pray that their company will be as large as you. Question is that,
Mr. Bade, can you adjust your mic?
Oh, sorry.
So we hear you better. All right.
Can you hear me? Is it better now?
It's better.
All right.
Yeah,
I
it's
was saying that people pray for their company to be as big as, let's say, GTB. That's a large bank in Nigeria. I don't know where all our audience are working from. But the question is this, that would you qualify if when your company grows that large, would you qualify as the CEO of GTB? Do you have the skill and all of those things that are needed at that level? Because as an entrepreneur, what a lot of us don't realize is at some point you become an employee of your business. Your business only needs you to become a teenager, to become an adult. At that point, you probably have investors, you have stakeholders, you may be publicly listed, and so on. And so your company would hire you. It is no longer a baby. The question is, would you be relevant to the company at that point? Don't forget to grow yourself as you are growing the business. I hope it helps.
Yeah. Quite elaborate. In fact, at this time, I just want Fumi to just add one word in 20 seconds to what Mr. Badi has said about scaling businesses from ideas. So Fumi, just a sentence or two. Hello, Fumi. Hello. It's coming.
I'm still here.
Okay. I wanted to make sure that it was not coming from my hand.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think she will join us. Maybe she's having an internet glitch. But then again, okay. So we are wrapping up right now. So on a final note, Mr. Bade, I want you to just in 60 seconds, can you just give your more like a summary, um, just summarize a message to would-be entrepreneurs out there that are listening, or people not saying the idea to let me start this. Just give them one or two tips. Yeah,
all right.
60 seconds, a minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the first thing I would say is start now. Start immediately. Don't be afraid to start. Right. Don't be afraid to take a risk. Depending on how old you are and what responsibilities you have, make sure the risk is calculated. For
Right.
example, if you have children and people depending on you and so on, then you may want to ensure that you have savings that will last you at least 6 months to 1 year before you set off on your own. I already mentioned as well that you may want to have at least your first customer before you set off on your own. Work in your business part-time. Work in your business on Saturdays and Sundays and evenings until when you've gotten to a certain stage where something has sort of clicked when you've tested the market. But don't be afraid to take the risk to start. It's a rewarding journey. It is not easy. It has its own challenges. I must say that. Remember, I mentioned that I needed to emphasize that in this particular conversation. It has its own challenges, many of them. But ultimately, it is very rewarding. And you would have regrets if you don't even do it anyway. And so don't be afraid to start and just see what you can do. And a lot of times, you can even run your business side by side with a paid employment. Be careful that
Regular
whatever you
job.
are doing
Yeah.
does not conflict with your paid employment. Conflict of interest is unfair on your employer because you will have employees as well. But a lot of times you may be able to start exploring while you have a safety net of some sort of salary. And then if things work out well, then you can set off fully on your own. So those be the advice, and then start small, grow fast, and think big, and then grow fast.
All right. So think big, grow fast. Yeah, getting that
And
from
start
Mr.
small.
Badi. And start small. Yeah. For those that are familiar with the Bible, it says, despise not the days of little beginnings. So yeah, let's start small. Fumi, you're back. Um,
you need to unmute us.
Yes, I'm trying to do that. Yeah. Can you?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I was trying to ask you before you left briefly of the call to ask if you wanted to
No, I think it was
add one or
network.
two things. Yeah. Okay. If you want to add one or two things to what Mr. Bade said about scaling businesses from the initial idea stage. Yeah. So you have just 30 seconds for that. But we'd just like to hear from you. Your time starts now.
Oh, okay. So for someone that wants to start a new business, from the idea stage. I hope you can hear me. At least I can have
Yeah,
network
we can.
issues.
We can.
Okay. Okay, so starting a new business from the idea stage, right? So interpreting the idea, so testing the market. Is it what your idea, will it be sellable? Will
Okay.
people be willing to buy?
Yeah.
You build high and lofty ideas, and then no one really cares about it, and then you test the market, and then, okay, fine, this idea works. Then you can start thinking of expanding, and then investment and all of that, and then you go. But then one thing that I just really, really want to say is, for every entrepreneur, key things that you have to put on mind. You have to be able to solidify your business model. And then what's really a business model is being able to understand from start to finish part of
What
your
the business
product.
is all about.
Now, yes, and then the first is value proposition. What value are you proposing? What are you selling that people should actually buy? right? And then when you have identified what you're selling, what are the key activities that that actually involves, right? And then once you've also been able to identify that, then it's fine. You can then place a cost on that product to say, okay, I have biscuits and this biscuit is 10 naira. After you've identified the value, your value proposition, and all of that. And then what are the key resources, right? Where do I source my raw materials locally, internationally? You need to be able to iron out all of these issues before you just dabble into starting a business. And then who are my customers? And then I dare say that everyone is not your customer. Everyone is not supposed to buy from you. You know, there are certain products that appeals to everyone and won't appeal to you.
Yeah.
Likewise, your product. You think your product is for everyone. Absolutely not. Your product is not for everyone. So you need to be able to identify who are your customers, where are your customers, where do they live, what part of the country do they stay, what kind of job do they do, about how much do they earn, you know, are they male or female? You need to be able to identify your customer segment.
Yeah.
Just so that even when you're running adverts and you can target your adverts, so you're not just spending money into the wind, you
Yeah.
know.
Thank
And then who are your key partners? Um, who are the people that you require to go on this journey with you? You know, because it's fine for you to start alone, but then you might not be able to run alone, right? So you need key partners, and then they could be your vendors, they could be your suppliers, they could be your
Uh, oh, hello. Okay. Okay. Think.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So I
yeah.
think Madam Fumi is having issues with our network. But I think we've done serious justice to the questions we've had so far. Actually, there are more questions, but we are just constrained by time, and we want to wrap up the session for today. But on behalf of the GMM team, organizing team, and the convener, we want to say a very big thank you to uh, Mr. Badi. Thank you for coming on board. Um, okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
For me,
oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the network. Yeah, but yes, we've enjoyed your company. We've enjoyed the conversation so far. I wish it could continue because I'm really enjoying the session, but for time we have to call it a wrap at this time. So, but we really want to appreciate you for taking out time out of your busy schedule to to make yourself available for the call. We say thank you once again. So, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you for
Femi,
having us.
yeah, over to you, Femi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Buddy, and for me. I really appreciate your timing for to have been here today. That's why the short timing and the logistics. Really appreciate you. Really appreciate. And so thank you so much to everyone that has participated today. We understand that some people drop at some point of the call, and but the program still continues next week. Yes, we will have other sessions. But so as we close, there's a short poll that I'll be sharing now. Just three questions, just for us to answer. Yes, I just launched a poll. Um, just look through it. Just three questions. Which session did you enjoy best? We have four sessions. Practical steps in building a gainful professional career. Is it leveraging on emerging opportunities to have a strong professional background? Cultivating a strong personal growth and brand, or entrepreneurship mindset, which just ended now. Amazing moment. And again, a question, an area of improvement for GMM, is it program content, sensitization awareness, community building, and mentorship? Lastly, would you like to attend subsequent GMM program? Yes or no? Um, like feedback, just thank you. Okay, getting feedback. We have just 30 seconds more. Okay. Okay. So we're ending the poll now. Okay. Thank you so much for the session. Amazing. Let me just share the results that we have. So it says that okay, the first session and the last session were pretty amazing for us. Okay, we need to do a lot on sensitization, very accurate. We need to work on that for our next program. And okay, would you like to attend the next German program? Okay, great, great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate everyone for joining us for this session. We wish host a wonderful moment. So the video will be shared. We'll share the link subsequently for us to be able to have a view about it, read through, look through, and hear it once again and see how it inspire us. So once again, thank you so much for everyone that has participated on today's program, all speakers, the keynote speakers, Jeremy. Thank you for everyone, the speakers for the 4 sessions. Thank you so much, and we wish us a wonderful weekend ahead. Thank you, and God bless you.